We have
Fine.
Joe Murph at Joe Murph CT as our guest today. Joe does a lot of anime, cartoon, video game based tattoos. Draws a lot of really awesome flash. He works at a shop in Waterbury, Connecticut, right?
Yeah,
You said it's in Waterbury.
for a few more weeks. I
Oh
think a few.
shit.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh wow. So Burning Hearts for a few more weeks. Let's hear about what you have going on. Can introduce yourself, give a little background, and tell us this exciting news? Question mark.
Yeah, yeah. No, no. So yeah, I'm Joe. I've been tattooing for just over 9 years now. I've worked in a few spots currently right now for a couple more weeks. I work at Burning Hearts Tattoo. Amazing, great shop. By me leaving, it's by no bad blood. We're doing awesome, and they're super pumped for me. But yeah, I'm opening my own little studio up in a really small town called Canaan, Connecticut. It's up in the northwestern
Nice.
corner, like right on the Massachusetts line, kind of.
Hell yeah, I love
And
that area.
and yeah, I'm just opening a small spot up here, just because I got a lot of crazy stuff going on in my regular life. I'm gonna be a snowbird at the age of 33, so I'm pretty pumped. So yeah,
Ballin'.
yeah. So I'm going down to Florida for half the year, and then I'm gonna work up here in Connecticut, and I'm gonna make it all work. And I figured the
Nice.
best way to do it was not driving a boss crazy by being like, yeah, I'll see you in like 4 months. So it's like, yeah. So I'm attacking it that way. But yeah,
Nice.
um, yeah.
Nice.
So
So
there's that.
what's
But
the name? What's the name of the shop? You got one?
Nerdy Visions.
Nerdy
So
Visions
the
is the name.
Nice.
Okay,
yeah,
sick.
full branding all the way around now. Yeah, yeah.
Nice.
Got
Nice.
that. Got the yeah. Got merchandise coming out and stuff. Trying to get that going. I feel like I keep hitting bump after bump with that.
Word.
So
Yeah, we'll definitely talk about that. I want to get into that in a
okay.
bit. So yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Deciding to make that leap and do your own thing. Is it going to be private studio? Do you have anyone else who's going to work with you? Do you have someone
Yeah,
that's going to hold it down when you're
it
gone?
yeah, it's private for right now. What I'm doing is it's just like I said, it's a super small space. It's like a back half of, as crazy as it sounds, it's a back half of a salon. It's a divided up spot, but I just
Mhm.
have my own private room and everything like that. Really, really inexpensive rent, and I don't have to pay for the space when I'm down in Florida. So it's no reoccurring rent. It's only when I'm there.
Wow.
So yeah. So yeah, it's just to make it work. My fiance and I are expecting our first child.
Oh,
So
Congrats.
congratulations.
thank
Hype, hype,
you,
hype.
thank you. So
Nice.
and we're going down to Florida because her parents live there. So it's a way of breaking up. So
Cool.
grandma and grandpa can see our the babe and all that sort of stuff. So it makes it a lot easier in that way. But little crazy to be having this all happen right now with pandemic and stuff. But we're making it work.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Florida is a bit of a hot spot where it might
Yeah.
be like questionable to go right away. But are you staying for this year or are you peacing out this
We,
winter?
I'm gonna be hanging down probably like mid-December. Chelsea, my fiance, is due January 30th.
Word.
So when I leave from up here, I'm probably just going to be going down. I have a couple guest spots and like that were getting lined up, but in line, nothing was confirmed. But there's definitely opportunity down there. But I think for this winter, I'm going to hunker down, help Chelsea with the baby and everything. And I think just for safety reasons, it's just a lot like staying home, laying low for those, and then I'll be back up here in March and
Yeah. Yeah, I could see
continue.
why mixing it up in the public down there might not be like
Yeah,
the greatest of ideas. What area of Florida are you going to? I have some connections down there, so I might be able to
yeah, yeah.
put the good word in.
We're hopefully going to be buying this house in Newport Richey. It's all Gulf Coast, so it's by like Clearwater. It's like 45 minutes
Okay.
outside of Tampa. Yeah,
Word.
because
Yeah,
her
okay.
parents live in Palm Harbor.
Yeah, I don't know the West Coast as well. I've been to Fort Myers a couple times. It's where
Awesome.
actually
So
I got my
yeah, I have a
first
lot of
ever tattoo.
really.
Yeah, my uncle did it. Fort Myers, and in Florida, you can get tattooed at 15. So I got the tattoo at 15, and
What is it, if you don't mind me
I have
asking?
a big Tupac cross on my back, like
Yes.
sizely, dude. Like it's a big one. And it's quality. He did a pretty good job with it. Like over the years, like the lines are fatty now, but I mean, I'm not quite religious, but I mean, at the time, I wanted a samurai, but my dad was like, "Nah, you can't get that." Like, whatever. Like, I'm down with the cross. Like, I respect the tale of Jesus, despite doubting the white Jesus existence. I
Yeah.
would say treating people how you want to be treated is a solid message, no matter who it is saying it's.
Right on, dude. Yeah, exactly. I mean, listen, I've heard a lot worse. Listen, I gave, I got my first one, and it was a jacked up nautical star on
No
my right
way.
shoulder. Yeah, I had this dude who did it. He might be back in jail. I don't know, but
Oh no.
it was just a bad decision. But my mentor covered it up with a really sweet Reaper.
Nice.
So yeah, that's fixed. So you've made way better choices than I did. You're
Work.
right on, dude.
It was an interesting time. Like I stayed at his house the night before and stuff, and then we go to the shop, and then he like starts. He does the stencil. Like at first, I'm like, dude, it's not straight. Like I don't know how many times I made him replace it, but then I was like, all right, looks all right, let's go. And then he starts, and I'm like dying. I'm like, oh, I'm not feeling good, man. I don't know.
Oh, shit.
Feel kind of sick. And he's like, did you eat? And I'm like, what do you mean, did I eat? He's like, did you eat breakfast? I'm like, no, I didn't eat breakfast, dude. I was at your house. Like, you saw I didn't eat breakfast. Like, you could have fed me if you knew I should have fucking eaten. But he sent the homie to McDonald's for some double cheeseburgers, and that cleared it up.
Oh my god. Have you guys ever had like going off of that? Have you guys had any crazy experiences with like just clients going down? Like just
Oh,
literally.
yeah.
For
Yeah.
sure.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I've got
Oh.
some decent ones, because especially from the piercing days. Like, oh boy.
I remember when Emma had that client that when we had that divider still in the back room, and I looked over because I was in my old spot with the window, and I'm looking
Yeah.
over, and there's like this like scene straight out of the Wizard of Oz, like this dude's red shoes just on the floor, like looks like someone's laying on the floor, and it was the kid hit the ground, like just was
Oh,
laying on the ground, and
Oh my god.
she was just like panicking, but um I had a kid throw up. Like I did a couple lines on his wrist, and he's like, I just don't feel so good. I had to get him a bucket, and he threw up, and then we finished the tattoo.
Ugh. I've luckily never had that. I have one client that every
oh wow.
single time she comes in to get tattooed, as soon as she comes in, I just give her a glucose tablet before we even start because I know it's gonna come. So
Preemptive.
that
Probably smart to
yeah,
have
we've
those
gotten
around.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've gotten good at those, but
Megan had a puker a few weeks ago.
Oh yeah.
Woman
I had a puker,
puked.
and that was funny because Angelo just got a new. Yeah, Angelo was there, and he had just gotten this new chair from Tatsol.
Not
Like
Tatsol. It's
he's
an ink bed.
was
It's
it
an ink bed. But yeah,
ink
it's
bed.
like a
Sorry.
Tatsol chair. It's a
And
higher end tattoo chair. It's nice.
yeah, so he let me use it. And I think it was maybe my second time using it. And the dude was just getting some line work done. It wasn't anything crazy. And I think we were probably literally like 2 minutes in.
Oh,
And,
no.
and he's like, I don't feel good.
No.
And like, so you could tell he started turning pale. Yeah, I'm eating a little bit. And we didn't get the bucket to him in time. He threw up all over the new chair.
Yeah, just
All
straight
like
down
in
on
every
it,
little
deep
crevice.
into the crevices, dude. Oh
Yeah.
god.
We had to
Yeah.
stop for like a good half hour just so like to clean it all up.
Yep.
did he
Oh
at least
man.
get his mask off in time?
Oh, this was
This was like last year.
Yeah,
I think.
this was pre-mask.
Oh,
Yeah, so it
okay.
was even worse.
Like, okay.
Oh, I
was
could only
picturing
imagine someone puking in a fucking mask and just like trying to keep their cool, and
Just-
like all of a sudden they're like puking, but like they held it in, and now like, but then it like pops out, fucking seeps. Like,
Oh
oh
my
god,
God.
One of my clients used their mask as like a trough. I think it was they were eating something, but they just like poured
Wow.
some like goldfish in it and just like ate it while they were getting tattooed, just like out of
just
their
tongue
mask.
it in, like leave them on your
Yeah.
chin, just
Yeah, it was very big
bring it
brain.
in.
Yeah.
That's sick.
That's
Hands
I don't
free.
know. I don't know what level to even put that at. Like that's I don't know whether to call him a genius or a slob, but that's pretty
Or it's whatever you want
It's-
it to be, you know? Like I
yeah.
don't know.
that's wild.
I was impressed. I was like, it's pretty cool. I'm not even gonna lie. But I feel
Did
like
the
all like
individual
new
have beard?
furniture. What's that?
They have
Yeah.
like facial hair and like
No,
a beard.
no.
But so that'd be even crazier just having the
Oh.
fly up in there. Oh.
But I feel like all new tattoo furniture goes through some sort of like, what's the word, like christening process. Like it just like has to be blessed somehow. Like when I first got my Tatsel bed, I got like the tobacco brown set. So like you, I get so nervous when people with like stencils and stuff like that. And for the first few days of having the chair, there was just like these 4 little like potted cactuses, just like been purple, just across the top of it. You know, someone's arm just went with the stencil, and it took me forever to get it off, but that was fun.
Yeah, because I've seen that shade like in person. I think it looks awesome. But yeah, I always wondered that like cleaning it. That's why
Oh
black
god, it's
real
tough.
nice.
It's tough. It's tough. Yeah, I looking back, like I would have got the black, but like I don't know. I now I have like my own chair, like the matching chair, the matching armrest, so it's like all the brown stuff, and then you have to like I have like a certain cleaner that takes off ink and stuff like that. But then like, you know, all my machines recently are just spitting ink all over the place. So like no matter what I put on the bed, I have to clean off ink. I have to clean off crap every single day and just
Mhm.
scrub things down. So it
Yeah,
doesn't phase me anymore. So but throw up, no, I'll pass.
yeah.
I got a couple good pass out stories from when I pierced. So the one time was I was just coming back. So it was actually somebody watching Steve tattoo, their friend, and they like came in. We used to have like a divided like bar pit type of deal, so people could sit at like the bar area on the outside of where the tattoos were happening and chill. And then they're like sitting there, and then they decide to like take a closer look, and he comes up and like takes a closer look and sees what's happening of like the tattoo like in process, and the dude just like goes like woozy, and I'm just like walking back past them randomly on my way back from a piercing, but I see this guy like looking like fucked up, and then he just like slowly is just like losing consciousness. So I like scooped this guy. Like he actually bumped into the table, but luckily like he caught like Steve's attention by then, so he wasn't like tattooing at the time. He was like already looking at him like, oh shit. And I could catch this guy like under his arms right as he's passing out and just like rest him on the ground and let him like come back to life eventually. But I had another bystander that was watching when I pierced the nose. His sister totally went out, and then like whacked her head. Like the sister was just watching, and as soon as the needle went through, she went out like a light and fucking cracked her head on the counter that we had. So like from then on, I was very leery about the positioning of if somebody was watching, and like I'd be like, yeah, you can sit down right over here, watch it happen, because she needed like I like butterflied it closed with some stuff that I had to bandage up, like my microdermals that I did, and like tightened it all up, and then she had to go to the hospital and get stitches, and I guess it healed great because like a month later her husband came back and was like, thank you so much for the way you prepped her head. I was like, thank you for not suing me. Definitely didn't sign a release form. He's like, she had no scarring. The doctor said the only reason was because like the way you handled it and like bandaged it originally. I'm like, thank you, you know, you're welcome. Have a great day. But yeah, dude, like
Remember, it's like in those movies when most people are like, "Yeah, we gotta go see the vet to handle this bullet wound or something like
Yep.
that." No, swing by Angelo. Just patch me up, doc.
yeah. When you don't have insurance and
Yeah,
you get shot or
we got
stabbed,
another brick
you
in
know,
the back.
swing
Yeah,
by.
Oh my god.
I'm cheaper than
Hilarious.
copay probably.
yeah, right.
Oh yeah, dude. I've done some little like quick triage. One time my brother, like we were playing ultimate frisbee, ran into like a post and then like it was like one of those like Journal Inquirer type of like it's just like like a newspaper post, so it's like the metal bar that's like bent but like super sharp on the ends. Just goes knee straight into that. It carved through all of his skin, all of the fat in front of the knee. Like it was dead down to like the open muscle and tissue and nasty. Like I go to take a look at this fucking thing and it just squirted blood like 6 to 8 feet
Ugh.
over. And I was like, oh fuck. I just took my shirt off, tied it up, like quickly like bandaged it, and then I called 911 because I had like a nice car. I wasn't trying to drive him like all bloody to the next fucking hospital or whatever, but
Yeah.
they came and took care of biz.
Like at that point, even if you have someone like get up at that point, it's just bad. The amount of blood that's gonna go and stuff like that. Like, that stuff always creeps me out. Like even though we work like plastic stuff, but
Lots of blood is insane, dude. When it's like when it's really flowing and fucking squirting, like I had a white tee on that day, dude. That shirt turned fucking maroon in like less than 2 minutes. Like totally saturated.
Dude,
it was nuts.
Growing up in the music scene, especially like the hardcore shows, and just seeing just some of the aftermath of just some of the violence, like, dude, you just sit there and you're like, why? Sometimes you quite like you're a part of the culture, but at the same time, you're just like, why do we do this to one another? Like that dude's nose is like half off to the side of his face than when he walked in. Like, what is going on?
Yeah,
like,
noses break hard, heads bleed like crazy.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to the waterfront?
Hell yeah,
yeah, dude, that's where everything goes. Used to go down. Everything used to go down.
Just like like that was their home turf, and everybody just was like, it was their last show every time they played. Like you would guess by the way the crowd was. It was just crowd killing. That's it.
Dude, the crowd killing's out of control, dude. Like I don't even know. Like sometimes I wanted to go to like some of my boys' shows, and I'm like, dude, if someone tries to fuck with me or someone I know, it's not gonna go well. I'm not trying to like catch a case or anything. Like I'm not about to get fucking crowd killed. At least unless they're real slick. Like because people will be quick. Like you get clocked and have no idea who did it. Real
so
fast.
You always gotta pay attention at those shows, man.
Yeah, but like
it was always like
can't watch the music. You gotta be like watching your periffs.
I think at one point, I got kicked at one point at a show. And that was not pleasant. I think I was at a mirror show too, and I got like somebody jumped over. I forgot where. I think it was like upstate New York is where we went, and they like jumped over like where the bar was. There was a bar there, and they jumped over and like jumped on top of me. I had a beer in my hand too in the process. That was not a fun time.
Was that at Northern Lights in Albany?
Yes.
Was that with the Asking Alexandria show? The Asking Alexandria was like headlining, and then it was them and
I don't know. Hold on one second, because my wife would know. Faye, remember the time we went to go see a mirror and like some dude like jumped on top of me? Was Asking Alexandria headlining that? Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, that was the Speaker of the Dead tour, dude. I was actually at that show.
Yeah, I was there too.
My friend, I'll leave names out, but my friend was dating the bass player, so we went up there because that was like the last show on their tour. So we were picking them up from that. Yeah, that show was absolutely out of control. Like I was never so happy to be on the other side of that railing because it was just like everybody was going ape shit. I'm just sitting there. I was like, I wish a band that I played in, like this was the reaction. Like it's just one of those things, but it's like, fuck yeah, that show, everybody was just flying up. The security was acting like it was, I don't know, like it was just like riot police. Like they're all up in the front, they're yelling commands to one another. They're just like, yeah, you gotta get this guy over here and this guy. And like they're pushing me out of the way because they're like, who the fuck are you? And it's like, yeah, dude, that show is nuts.
That's why I'm somewhat grateful for the music that I listen to, even though it's a little different. But I wasn't, afraid to get like punched in the face going to see Fleetwood Mac. So like, yeah, I think I'll be okay here. Like, some 16-year-old might try to cast a spell on me, but otherwise I'm in the clear.
I mean, go to Dave Matthews in Hartford for some reason. They think that's a fucking metal show too.
True.
Mosh pits at the fucking
My
Dave
sister
Matthews
used to
show.
go to
I'm like,
all those Dave Matthews shows.
fuck?
I think that
Shadows.
that night I remember too when they started. Me and the wife were actually standing next to each other, and the second they started, we ended up being about 2 inches from each other to about like 100 feet from each other because like the whole crowd just went nuts. It was ridiculous.
Well, yeah, that opening from that set was the same opening they used from Speaker of the Dead, and it's just like you just have like this like build up and like the sound of like everything they used as a band. They were super. They're tight now, even with the new members. But man, I like that. Yeah, I'll never forget like just hearing that, and my jaw dropped. I couldn't believe like how tight it was. But then just seeing the whole crowd open up that night, I was just like, this is insane.
That's
so funny you were there. Wow,
that's hilarious. Small world.
11 or something like that. It was a long time ago.
2000. I want to say it was 2012.
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah, that
you guys have better memories than I do.
Well, I remember it was in that general time frame just because, but like I went to a lot of shows then. Like me and the wife went to a lot of shows. She's seen so many goddamn bands and rappers and everything that it's just like you got to ask her what she hasn't seen or what she has. But at that time we did a lot. We went to, I think at that point we had probably seen Amir probably about 3 times. I think at that point.
Yeah, they were like that. That's a band. That's so funny because especially with you being like a Mass kid, especially like
I know with everything that happened with the Casey Strain and everything. I get it.
Yeah,
it's just funny. Like, and honestly, I didn't even know about the situation until the wife told me about it. Because like a lot of my friends were big into the Acacia Strain, and then she was telling me the story about what happened, and it was just very funny how like if you're going to the waterfront with an Amir shirt, you're fucked.
Yep.
You're fucked. Like it was just that serious. So, and the whole thing, if I remember correctly, the whole fight between those two was because of an actual tattoo artist in Connecticut.
Yes.
It was what the hell's her name? Ashley.
Yeah. I'm not gonna throw the names. Yeah, she was married to Vincent.
Yeah. So it kind of became this whole thing. And then there's that song from Amir.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there it is.
You heard that?
Yeah. No,
it's like one of her favorites.
Like, oh man, like I don't know, like that's just funny because like music is like super important and I feel like influential in my career of tattooing as well. Like I always say I made it farther in the music industry with a tattoo machine in my hand than I did with my bass in my hand. It was weird. The opportunities I got because of tattooing going hand in hand with music, like it was crazy.
That's interesting. My mentor was the same way. Like when he was tattooing, he actually was like on tour with like bands and stuff like that, tattooing.
Yeah.
And he tattooed a couple of good amount of people. He met a good amount of bands. He did like I want to say he did a couple of Warped Tours. He did like Bamboozle at one point when that was still a thing.
Like I always laugh at like I wear it like a badge of honor that I got to experience doing it on Warped Tour, but it's also kind of like a shame thing because it's definitely like that's like to me, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's the same range in my opinion as like scratching. Like at least I have the knowledge to keep everything clean, but holy shit. Like it was I call it like a boot camp. It was almost like for tattooing because
really?
Yeah, I had I got an opportunity. This was like 2013. And I had my friend, his name is Sean Quigg. He at the time his organization was called Spaghetti Arms for muscular dystrophy, and he was a nonprofit on there. And I was helping him out, and he was like, "Joe, do you want to come on the road and do you want to tattoo me while I'm out there?" And Sean, I love him. like he's a good friend. I was like, you know what? Yeah, fuck it. Because at this point, I was only. It doesn't make the story sound any better, but at that point, I was only tattooing for like a year and a half. I think at that point, if I'm correct, the where it was, but yeah, either way, I went out there, and yeah, it was crazy. I first got hooked up with the dudes in handguns, pop punk outfit out of Baltimore. It's like Baltimore, and Pennsylvania and stuff, and like Philly. They were like all different, and they were signed to Pure Noise. So I'm a really, really big fan of the story so far, and they're on the same label. So one day I'm just sitting on the bus. I tattooed the bass player CJ, who I still talk to this day from Handguns,
nice.
and I just hear a knock on the bus door. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? I open it up, and it was Parker from the story so far, and like my jaw kind of dropped. I was like, hey. It was like, yeah, so I got like this flash book that was handed over to me, like, you know, do you tattoo? And I'm like, yeah. And it was just, it's one of those moments that I'm like, wow, this is amazing. But it was also kind of like a guilty thing. Like I keep saying, like in the back of my head, like thinking like, yeah, I know deep down, like this is wrong. I shouldn't be doing it. But then like, I just reassure myself that I'm not the first person to do this. I'm not going to be the last person to do this. And I just really want to do this. And I was given the opportunity, and I tattooed him. And of course, the one day I go to tattoo him, the AC broke on the bus. So it was just, yeah, it was just a sweaty experience. But yeah, I'll never forget that. And then that's when he tagged me in the photo and stuff. That's when like I started to actually get kind of like noticed. And from there, like I built up. My only regret is like doing it at like the experience level I was doing it at. I had no business being up there. Deep down, I say that I had no business. Like my mentor wanted to kill me, because I have a really, really funny way with him of doing the whole like it's easier to ask for forgiveness than it is for permission. So like, yeah, I'll just go.
Hate
and
that
of course,
I know you really do. You really hate that phrase.
The week I left, of course, is the week my mentor decided to try and quit smoking. So yeah, he was really, really fucking fed up. He was sending me texts every day being like, yep, I hope you're having a good time, grasshopper, because when you get back, you're super fucked. So yeah,
Nice.
I love him too. And like
who's your mentor? Who taught you?
So I learned from his name's Eric Chapman. He tattoos out of his own private place, but he's worked all over. Because let's see, if I'm at 9, he's at I think 21 years now of tattooing.
Wow.
And he was one of the first people to open Brass City.
Oh, cool.
Nice. Waterbury and stuff. And yeah, he's worked primarily out of Danbury for his most of his career. But yeah, he's rad. Like I look up to him a lot, and every day like I still find myself just striving to be as good as him every day. And yeah, he's definitely a really big brother, father figure to me always. Like I talk to him, I try and talk to him regularly. I unfortunately get out of touch all the time because I'm very like, I don't know, I like juggling about 5 things all at the same time and hoping nothing hits the ground. So yeah,
that's how it goes down, man. You gotta like try to find that balance, but that's cool that you stay connected. Was it like an old school apprenticeship or like too lenient? Yeah, you were working hard doing some strange tasks and fucking being put down and shit.
Oh yeah, hang on here. We'll do this breakdown because me and him, it was meant to be. Okay.
Okay.
So I was in a band. We'll start with that. Yeah, I was in a band, and I had wanted to tattoo since I was 16. But when I was 16, going around to shops asking for an apprenticeship, this is like, so that would be around like 2004. That would have been. Literally, I was told to get the fuck out. Like it was crazy, like to just have that experience, and it just kind of shook me. And I was like, no, I'm not gonna. Fuck this. I'm never gonna get involved. Nobody even wants to hear me out. Now I understand being older, gentleman here just being like, yeah, if I had someone come in, I don't know if I'd yell at him, like, get the fuck out. I'd be like, yeah, you probably want to rethink what you're doing. You're 16. You got a whole lot of life ahead of you. You don't need to go down this road, like, but yeah, so I ended up, like, I would draw here and there, but then I ended up in a band. I toured around. It was a lot of fun. But it was getting to a point to, I was like, I really want to figure out what I want to do, because I know I'm not going to make money. I was playing death metal, and there's not a huge market for that. And it's just like, I love doing this, but I need a career. But I don't want a normal career. Like, so I ended up getting linked up with this one guy. His name is Jake Nest. I can't thank him enough for giving me the opportunity to where it's led me today. But yeah, he was opening a shop up in New Milford called Canvas Tattoo. I started working there. I guess you'd say I kind of just forced myself in. They were like, yeah, we're not really doing apprentices. I was like, yeah, well, I got nothing else to do, and I really want to just hang around, start trying to learn. So I would just clean, take the trash out, all that stuff. And then Rob, who was there, he was like, all right, well, if the kid's going to keep hanging around, we should show him, this way, he could work and learn and all that. But yeah, I was there for about a month and a half. And then Eric, who had tattooed me prior, came in on one night. There was like a photo shoot they were doing at the shop. They had, I don't know how many of you guys, maybe Dennis, you might remember them. I don't know. Not Suicide Girls, the Sinister Girls. They were at a bunch of like shows. This guy Jimmy ran them.
Oh, I think I've heard of this.
It was a knockoff. It was a knockoff Suicide Girls that they were having go out to all the shows, and they were at a bunch of them. So, and Jimmy would get them booked anyway. Somehow, some way, this ended up at the shop I was at. The shop owners thought it was a good idea to have the girls come around to get a bunch of photos taken for the shop.
Oh,
Coincidentally, this is the same night my mentor is coming through to actually check out the space, because he was thinking about leaving the shop he was at to come and work there. So there's a bunch of just like girls wearing practically nothing around this shop. And mind you, this is like a month and a half into this world. I'm like, man, this shit really is crazy. I was like, this. So he just pokes his head in and he's like, hey. I was like, hey, what's going on? And I was nervous because, like, once again, I never really like asked him about a tattoo apprenticeship, but he would tattoo me. So looking back on it, it seems kind of dumb. But yeah, he just looked at me. He goes, so you're ready for Monday? Because I guess it was already discussed. Mm-hmm. I was like, wait, like, you're going to teach me? He goes, yeah, I don't know why you didn't ask me from the beginning. He goes, idiot. I was like, oh. And he goes, I was just smiling. He goes, yeah, that smile's not going to be on your face for long. And so it began, like, yeah. And it was just an old school apprenticeship. Like, I was scrubbing a lot of tubes, but,
scrubbing tubes, dude. What a
thing. I do remember that.
Thank God that's a thing of the past.
Yeah, right. That's
for most people.
But honestly, like, everything like outside of that, like, yeah, I had to do that stuff to like pay the dues and stuff like that. But honestly, he really did. He instilled a lot. He had me sit in a lot. He taught me a lot. He taught me a lot that I noticed like most most people like I've seen like that train, apprentices and stuff. Like, he really did keep a watchful eye over me. I feel like a lot of apprenticeships now, just from what I see, like, it's very kind of loose. It's like, oh, let me look at your drawings and stuff like that. But like, if I was drawing something, like, he was right there over my shoulder, and he wasn't like, he was never in a dick way, never like being like, oh, you're fucking this up or anything like that. No, it was like, here, why don't you try it like this? And it was just like a real nice way of going about it. And yeah. And then I was with him for about 2.5 years. And then we both went to go work at this one spot. I hung around there for a little while, but I wasn't really feeling it. It was a weird vibe there. and then I ended up working with Wes over at Burning Hearts Tattoo, and I've
Wow,
been there
so you've
for
been
like
there a while.
yeah, 5 years now, and
Nice.
he amazing, amazing boss. Just only thing that seems to be separating us is just life, different paths, and he really is. Wes is like an ideal like I don't know, like a role model, I guess, in a lot of ways. Like the way he's able to balance everything. He's got the wife, 3 kids, like you know, his son's like constantly has hockey games and stuff, and he really goes out of his way to like make it to them, and he juggles like a massive amount of clientele. Then he has Death Threat, the band, so he's always trying to work with them and do that. And then he's got to deal with the day-to-day shop bullshit. Like someone's calling, like, "Hey, Wes, like we need we need this or that for the shop," and it's like one of those things that sometimes I feel for him, because he's like, "Why are you guys just telling me this now? Why are we just like, we have nothing now and you're letting me know now?" Like,
I know that
yeah,
pain.
yeah.
I've only talked to him, maybe like briefly, and only a couple times, but from what I've gathered, he's just seems like a really good dude.
Yeah.
Really like overall just pretty solid guy. But from the past like couple years at Burning Hearts, because when I was getting into tattooing, Burning Hearts was one of the shops that I looked at, like the artists. That's how I knew you from, and Chris Edge.
Yep.
And those were like two of the bigger, like those are the ones that like stood out to me when I was looking at Burning Hearts as like a shop in general. And now it's like you're opening your own spot, and Chris moved on to New London.
Yeah.
So how do how is Burning Heart, like what do you think of the state of Burning Hearts like moving forward? Like how does Wes feel about losing such like heavy hitters in
Yeah. I don't want to say too much on it, because there is
all
a
right,
lot.
in a non like personal way, more in like
Yeah.
like how did that go about, like how did it go, like how is he feeling about it, is he happy for you? And back when like Chris left and stuff like that, it just seemed like those were the two guys, like you and Chris are like some of the main dudes when I was starting tattooing, like looking at work.
Well, thank you. Yeah. No. Wes, I feel like it's just all about balance. Like it's the way I could compare it in a lot of ways too is just like I don't know, in a weird way, and I guess it's just in like the nerdy way of things. It's just like, so in WWE, like WWF and all that sort of stuff. Like you look at like Vince McMahon never wants anybody working there that isn't quote unquote like happy, or they're not feeling it, or they got other stuff going on. Where I'm at right now personally, I travel an hour to work every day. Chris was traveling 70 miles back and forth to work every day. And it's just one of those things, like sometimes it just becomes like a toll, especially with like relationships. Like you have this significant other that you're maybe able to see, 2 hours a day if you're lucky, and just really trying to balance it out. It's a lot different, I feel like, between Chris and I, because there's no bad blood. First off, it's just that was Chris's first shop. Chris was the apprentice of Wes, and I feel like yeah. So it's like, if anything, Wes, if I were to speak on his end, Wes is proud of Chris, to be able to grow and just see him, because he believed in him, and to watch your pupil grow like that is always phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I'd like to say, like, I've talked to him, he's super, super happy for me, and he gets it too. But Burning Hearts, the future of it is super, super bright, and yeah, stay on the lookout. There's a lot of really cool stuff they have coming up.
Because Wes is a great tattooer, and
yeah,
another guy that I would always like follow. It was like was Eric as well, Eric Coffin.
Yeah.
Just cool stuff. Just there was always cool stuff coming out there. So like I don't doubt that like Wes has it like under control or anything. It's just like crazy to see like that was like as a tattooer coming up in Connecticut, like you see these like rosters, you know, and like when the rosters change, it's kind of like watching like sports, you know, and you're looking at these teams and they're like, well, they just lost like this team, they just got this guy,
Yeah.
but they lost this guy, but they got this guy. You know, it's very like shops are very much like it's like watching sports, man. It's crazy.
Well,
Yeah.
the pandemic was the big shakeup. I feel like for that, you look at any of the shop rosters right now or wherever's going on, like people got shuffled. It was like a fucking, like it's crazy right now.
Not only shuffled, but some people just like quit. You know, at tattooing altogether. They just gave up.
Long time tattooers. And a lot of them, I call it like, I look at stuff and I kind of look at like the classes, and there's certain people like that, you know, that started around within the same like 4-month window that you did.
Sure. Yeah.
Like it comes in waves, and that's just what I've noticed. And the weirdest part, like going, like now that I'm on the cusp of like that 9.5 going on like 10-year mark, it's really weird, like seeing trends come back again. It's weird seeing, I don't know. It's weird. It's weird seeing like more than one generation of tattooers come through, and like I'm seeing like this next wave, and I think it's going to be nuts seeing this new wave of apprentices come through with everything going on right now, just because there's so much restrictions. And I even say, and I don't even want to really venture, and everybody's sick of the pandemic, but it's just like when between that, the vaccine, yada yada, whenever we're back and stuff like that, there's still gonna be all this crazy stuff instated in businesses to where it really restricts back like tattooers being able to really expand and teach. I feel like
because bringing more people into a shop is a very rough question to go at. We recently had invited someone to do an apprenticeship that I have had loose contact with over the years, and I saw some like fresh drawings and I was like, damn, like he's slaying now. So we asked him, but he didn't really have the ability to like spend the money and time and dedication. So and just having that perception and knowing like what the opportunity meant to this dude, and to have to watch him decline for economic or like personal reasons.
The way he declined, like he came, like he was a client of mine, and he was always interested in tattooing, and he the way he declined too, like he actually came in and wanted to talk to the both of us like together, and was just like, hey, like I just can't swing it right now. Which I respected, because I told him, I was like, if you can't swing it for whatever reason, like don't drop your life to make it harder for yourself. Only take the opportunity if you have the access, if you have the availability to, which I thought was like super like noble of the dude. And if he ever like thought about getting back into it, I would definitely try to help him as much as I could. But I mean, instead of just like sending me a text being like, nah, I don't think I want to do it, like he actually came in and was like honest.
That's so respectful.
That's hard, man. That's definitely hard. I mean, like for somebody like me, I had to cut a lot of my personal life in order to actually do my apprenticeship as well. Because I was working a full-time job while doing my apprenticeship at the same time. And that was, that wasn't easy, because like I was working for my father-in-law at the time, and I'd be up at like 6 o'clock in the morning, work for him until about 3:30, and then I'd be at the shop at like by 4 and be working there till like 9-10 o'clock at night. I was doing this for almost a year and a half. So like it's all a matter of like, I guess the dedication and the ability to be able to actually make the sacrifices you need to actually hone on this. Like I always say this, and these guys hear me say it all the time, but I procrastinated for a long time, because I could have been I could be a 10-year tattoo artist instead of 5.5-year tattoo artist. But I see it as like it just wasn't my time yet, just like that kid. Maybe he's just not at that point yet. And eventually,
it doesn't mean like it doesn't mean he'll never be a tattooer. I tell
Yeah.
most people this from my experience, you know, getting into tattooing and seeing people get into tattooing and falling out of tattooing or not being able to make it, is like it really does
Struggle.
genuinely choose who goes and who stays. Like tattooing as an entity,
Yes.
like chooses who is meant to do it and who's not. Whether it be through, like, even if you're a great artist, like maybe the industry just like it's not for you, you know, or it's just not the area or whatever. But I think it really does have like a mind of its own, and it does select people based on not only the artwork itself, but just like maybe the virtues you possess, or you know, some sort of like weird tattoo higher power sees you in a position of needing tattooing to you know, that's what I considered myself, is I was struggling with a lot of things, you know, mentally, and just a whole bunch of different stuff. And I really feel like tattooing let me in because it knew I was going to respect it, and it gave me what I was looking for. So I really feel like it has a mind of its own, and it chooses who goes and who stays. And there's no rush, you know. It's not like you have to do this right now, and this is the only opportunity you'll ever get. You know, I feel like when it's time, it's time,
Yeah.
and if it's not for you, it's not for you. You know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I always tell anyone, like I had someone that was coming to me for like getting the first steps on an apprenticeship. He wasn't like an apprentice, but like he was coming around. I was seeing how badly he wanted it. And like I told him this, and I'll tell anyone, tattooing is amazing. And but the only thing is though, it will take everything away from you, but then give you everything back you ever wanted. And you'll lose contact with friends. You will lose relationships over it. You might have to starve for a little bit. You know, you have to move. I moved 7 times during my years of tattooing before I've become now settled in, and all I had with me was my dog. Like that was my only constant in my life, and I was crashing in friends' parents' houses. I was crashing in bosses' basements. It was whatever it took, because I wanted this. I wanted this life. As crazy as it seems, it's like, I don't know, it's like being like I don't know, part of the circus or fucking gypsy or something. You're just making it work to just be a part of the show. Like
True.
And I believe
analogy.
in the tat gods and the higher powers and shit like that. It's just like, if you want it, it will happen. It will come to life, and you will make it. You'll manifest it. Like that's it. And
I think you'll like vibe with other people too. Like when you get that connection, and like you know that somebody else, like, they give a fuck. They're, you know, they're making art. They love like a certain aspect or something, like, enough. You get that, you know, you get that vibe, and you know that, you know, you're gonna make it or they're gonna make it, and like you're there to be a part of that, like as a shop owner. And especially being like a shop owner, kind of like ass backwards. So I was like in it probably before I was qualified. Like it's shocking to see the difference of like people who super care and people who don't, and then like the people who do care, and even if they have craziness in their life and shit, like they can still make it and then still get good. Because like I've seen that happen where like sometimes it didn't even work out with me, but then later on you see them hit, and like I'm just like, wow, they finally fucking nailed it. Like they're slaying now.
Being able to separate your personal life, hang it up on the coat rack, sit down, have a good time, knock out this tattoo, and get ready to bear the bullshit when you leave the shop. Like that's a big thing. Like,
so we have a question. We have a question in the chat. That's a pretty good question. It's about a technical tattoo for them, pretty much. They are thinking about a tattoo on their chest. They have a mildly sunken chest. Not too serious, but it is visible, even though like they have like a muscular structure to them. I'm guessing it's like the sternum area. Their question: is there any trick to make the tattoo that will make that less visible, or any stuff that they should avoid? For starters, I would say like you definitely want to work with dimension, contrast, and probably a design that encompasses your both of your pectorals. And by the way, Merc.exe, thank you for the question. Respect you being in the chat, super appreciate that. for everyone that's watching too. But yeah, I think like probably get both pectorals, have it come down, a little bit on the bottom, and then have a composition that works and flows, maybe with some lines that end up like graduating, but then like don't necessarily perfectly like follow the original design, like redraw some of the lines on with markers to make it a little bit like less visible, and probably stay away from um concave shapes in that area. Like for me, like maybe that's what I would say. What do you guys think?
I think anything. I mean, getting your chest tattooed, regardless of what it is going to take the attention off of any
True.
deformity that you think you might have, especially if it's like a subtle sunken chest. Um, just getting anything on your chest, regardless of it's even on that part of your chest, is just gonna
Also true.
probably make you feel better as well if that's something
Hell
that
yeah.
you're like self-conscious about. So like you can get I mean I think there's two types of tattooers. There's someone that can get technical in like an art sense, and you can get an answer like Angelo's where it's a little more technical from an artist background. Or for me, if I was to talk to somebody like this, I would just be like, I don't know, so like, do you want the eagle this way or this way, like but like, and it's gonna look sick, man, and it's gonna be awesome. But like, I don't know, people are always so worried about, is this gonna affect it, is this gonna look good, I have this scar here, I have this and that. And I just tell people like, man, just roll with it, just get whatever you want, like, who cares? Like, everyone's got something, and I think just, I don't know, enjoy. But yeah, I mean, I guess there's more of an artistic answer, like Angelo's like a really technical answer. But at the end of the day, like, just get something that you're going to enjoy for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
I think you could play with it and use it too, because I've tattooed like a bear with an open mouth, and we put the open mouth over the whole sternum where the jaw was like at the top of the abdomen. So like that was really cool. So
That's
like
the
even
sharks
though
on the
it
nubs.
digs in, yeah, exactly. Like just go in
it's all
and use
about
it.
dimensions. It's all about dimensions and how you like approach the situation. That's the best thing. One of the things I enjoy about being a tattoo artist is that you have to work with what you have, and if there's something that's there that you need to adjust to, you figure out a way to make it work.
Yeah,
I recently saw this. I saw this tattoo on Instagram actually recently, where this person had a discoloration on their skin, and what the artist chose to do was to make a galaxy around it and use that as like the Milky Way, and it essentially connected to the tattoo itself, and it was, that's a smart way of actually thinking about it. Um, you know, one of the more exciting things about this is like I've had a ton of different jobs, and it's never a dull moment being a tattoo artist because there's always something new for you to learn, and there's always some kind of challenge for you to actually overcome. And once you accomplish that challenge, things become a little easier for you, and then you want to find out what your next challenge is. So something like that. It's definitely about trying to figure out the best way of creating a dimension that might actually flow or work well on that area, so that it's it works for what's there, and you can apply it to the tattoo that you're already applying to it.
Yeah, I mean, you guys pretty much nailed everything on the head. The only advice I would just like add in is do your homework. Look at whatever artist you're going to, look at their work, and make sure that they have done large scale work. They have worked on quite a few torsos, because just because you have the concave doesn't mean your skin is necessarily any more callous or anything. It's just just sitting differently. So yeah, just do your homework. If it's someone who's been tattooing a short amount of time, has a great assortment of smaller, simpler tattoos, probably not the best person to hop on immediately to be like, yeah, I want this giant, like they were, whether it be a traditional eagle, a solar system, working it all in, or something like, especially like front facing, anything in that design. Just make sure you do your homework. I see too many people get excited, and of course be like, yo, how much is this? And then you just give them the amount, being like, yeah, well, it could be this, it could be that. I haven't met you in person, but it's like, just be open to it, and know that definitely torsos and all that sort of stuff take a lot of time.
Yeah.
Sure. You definitely don't want to rush it. So yeah, just go in with an open mind, and trust your artist. Whoever you go and see. So that would be my input.
When you talk to an artist too, like you can always kind of feel a sense of confidence in your artist. So if an artist, if you talk to an artist about that or show them the spot, and they kind of give you one of these, and they're just not feeling it, like maybe he's just not the guy for you, but he could be still a great artist. But just make sure you read people also, and like you feel comfortable with that guy. So even if he has very high tier work, and he could do a good job, make sure you're comfortable with whoever you choose to get tattooed with, because a lot of my clients, and I'm sure everyone else's clients too, come back for an experience beyond the tattoo itself. So you want to make sure that those hours you're going to sit there getting your chest tattooed, you'll somewhat enjoy, and feel like you've made the right decision, rather than going with someone that might be a little a good artist but a little rough, or just you're just not feeling it. But
also, if you are,
sure,
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I'll jump in. If you are interested at all, as well, if you don't feel comfortable like trying to gauge someone's work, my Instagram's right here. If you DM me and you send me like people's profiles, to like share a profile and ask me like, hey, I'm the guy from Twitch that asked you about the chest, then do you think that this person's qualified? I'll definitely give you like a fully honest answer too, of if I think they can do it and pull it off.
Cool. Yeah.
So also, oh, go ahead.
No, go. No, yeah, you're good.
No, I was going to say, and to go back, like this is like, because I've been watching the TatCast here, like your back episodes and stuff like that. Tom Bowman brought up a really good point too. If you approach a really reputable artist who can pull amazing lines and do these amazing pieces, necessarily it's not for them. Like the geometric black work, I think, was the example he gave. It's like, it's not really, like he wants to do it. He could definitely knock it out, but it's just like, but he'll be more than happy to recommend an artist that he knows that gets real hyped on the style that you might be looking for. That's the other part too.
Sure. Yeah, we're like that at our shop, because we all have our own individual styles. So like, if there's something that we don't feel comfortable doing, or we know that one of our other artists at the shop can do, it's definitely their thing, we usually recommend them. And that's usually and it works out in our favor, because it's like you give a little, you get a little, and it works out for everybody.
Yeah.
Word. So we have Joe for a little while longer. I know he's trying to go around midnight. I have some topics still, plus the one we kind of left in the lobby, that I think are pretty good. So let's jump into some of those. I think we were just discussing like open dialogue in tattoo shops, and like how the current culture has changed that. I think that's like an interesting thing to touch on and discuss. I think like, we've spread out in the shop, so we don't have like as close of a workstation as we used to, where we would have a lot more banter. I think like, we have time where we like settle down and kind of cross paths and check out what other people are doing, but we don't necessarily have like the same like intrusion going on with like, hey, I like I'm gonna jump right into your conversation with this. Except like, I mean, in the rooms, and depending on like how the music is or whatever's going on that day. But I think like to some degree, like there's been a big change over the last like few years. I think, with skirting along, maybe being like a little bit more shy about being candid. The things that I would say, like for me, like I remember early on when I first took over the shop, like I had some guys in there that like really got some like pretty wild banter going, like, and it wasn't necessarily that it was like offensive, but like just random shit, like dropping whatever jokes about fucking anal sex or fucking some random shit that like at just like random times, I think was like definitely more like, it was probably the more meta of the personalities in the shop. But I think like maybe nowadays those same things might not fly with certain people,
Yeah.
certain clientele.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily appreciate that because I don't want to like squelch or edit anyone for me personally. But like I don't know, like I'm not about to like allow hatred to be spewed in the shop, but I've not really come across that. So like to dodge that, besides like the obvious things that just aren't okay, like do you guys see like a culture resurging, like where we have like a barbershop tattoo shop feel that like becomes like a safe refuge to like talk about things and have a discussion and not worry about getting aired out, or is this just the way it's going to be for a while at least?
I think it's going to be this way for a while, and unfortunately, like, I am an advocate for, free speaking. I like to say wild shit. I think it's hilarious. I think it's fun. Um, I don't think there should be any limits to your jokes or your humor, as long as you're not being downright disrespectful to people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes even just listening to some of the music in the shop while like a middle-aged mom is getting tattooed by Megan, and the music is just like talking about like the most unruly things, and I'm just like, uh-oh. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, this is a tattoo shop, and I really feel like a lot of the nature of these things is just being kind of like forgotten about, or being considered wrong, and that to me
Yeah.
is a little upsetting. I wouldn't, obviously people nowadays aren't going to be calling people, fairies and stuff like that, like at an old school biker tattoo shop where everyone's fairly, uh, conservative or homophobic or racist. I don't really have any need for any of that. Like that's just kind of not
I
good in any
think
way.
most of
But
us are intolerant about shit like that.
but
We don't let
but
any of that
literally,
shit
I think
slide.
all of us.
no,
that would
no,
not. That would not.
no, and
I can
but
just stay
You'd be
straight
surprised
up.
there's still tattoo artists out there
none
that
of
are
us
like
do.
No,
that.
no,
None of
like
us do.
us,
Yeah,
like
Angela,
us.
yeah.
Yeah,
start
I
doing
mean,
some damage control over here before it starts looking like a PR
but
nightmare.
but the issue is that people, you don't know, like a lot of people that are getting tattooed right now are a younger generation who I mean, even younger than me, and I'm young, but it's they consider everything offensive, everything. So
Yeah.
you have to really be careful now, where it's like you can't make one little joke or you will be outed as a anything and anything at all.
Yeah.
And then the cancel culture, it's like people are looking for people to prey upon and ruin careers and shatter lives because they were offended
Have
by a
nothing
joke you
else to
made
do.
that literally everyone else in the entire world thought was hilarious except for this one
Yeah.
person. And all you're trying to do is ease a situation and make people feel comfortable by joking, and
Like
then
a
that
Michael
one,
Scott and the Chris Rock joke. It just doesn't
and
fly
it's,
being
it's
delivered
yeah,
by the wrong individual. Like
right. So it's like,
absolutely.
but I would never make any sort of like, racist comments or jokes, but it's like but anything, like you could talk about a toothbrush and someone would be like, yeah, I don't really agree with brushing teeth, and they'll just get, so they'll hammer away, they'll yelp it up, and it's like, I just don't know
Yelp's the
sometimes.
worst.
I
I
just
don't
don't
give a
know
fuck.
sometimes.
I don't give a fuck about my Yelp review or whatever it says. Like, legit, Yelp is the one that I literally don't care at all about. Like, you can give me whatever stars you want on there. That company, like, literally allows people, if you pay them, they'll take away your bad reviews. I'm not down with that. So I thought they lost legitimacy, but I guess, like, some people still think that that's, like, a place to look. Like, Google
it's
is
funny.
legit. Facebook's all right, but Yelp is a fucking joke. Like Yelp, you can, if I wanted to, I could pay them $10 a month and they'll take away all my bad shit. But I'm not
That's
gonna.
stupid.
Fuck them.
It's funny because like I read a meme once about Yelp where Yelp is just a place for white people to talk shit.
That's racist, Dennis. I'm offended.
It's what I read. All right, what I read.
Oh, it's fine.
I've written one bad Yelp review in my life, and it was aimed right at a fucking Chipotle Danbury because those motherfuckers cannot wrap a goddamn burrito. Nobody's training them over there. It just ends up being a fucking busted open diaper looking thing. And it's just like, no, I'm not paying this much money for this fucked up abomination. And you serve it to me with a smile.
That's most Chipotle's.
You're making a mistake getting
like this fat, and
you're making a mistake getting it wrapped anyway. The burrito bowl is clearly the way to go. That's what they're trying to tell
that's
you.
all I do now.
Here's the trick.
Tortillas on the side.
Here's the trick. Yeah, here's the trick. What you do is you get a bowl, right? You make a bowl, and then you ask for a warm tortilla on the side, and then you just make your own burrito.
Make it yourself, peon.
Hold on. This is where it gets like even better. You're gonna get more for your buck than you would if you just had them wrap a burrito because you have more. There's more.
And you can double everything in the bowl besides the meat for free. So you can
it all will fit, and then you just throw it on the wrap, and then you're good to go. And there are people who do this shit because I've read articles about this, and that's the best way to fuck over Chipotle.
I do it. I do it all the time.
Like you get a bowl, and you ask for a warm tortilla, and you put everything that's in that bowl, whatever you put into it, that tortilla, wrap it up, and eat it because it's gonna be even bigger than what if you were actually to get, because they actually learn how
much food do you need, dog, for lunch?
Yo, it's
I guess get more. You know what? Chipotle is banging for the second meal. Like you get that. You get like I feel like I could eat it, even the burrito bowl, like to full satisfaction, and then have leftovers, which I think is a great thing about it. So I guess I gotta rescind that statement.
I have people that wrap burritos, and this thing they split. Okay, this tortilla splits. And they have the balls to look me in the eyes, and try to put it in the foil. And I'm like, I saw that. Like they look at me to check to see if I saw that the burrito ripped, and I'm like, yeah, I did see it.
Better get that burrito duct tape out.
Yeah, one of the guys is like, oh, we'll remake it, or they think that they can like double wrap it, and I was like, I don't want 2 tortillas.
Yeah, I always say that. I'm like, just rewrap it.
I don't want to bite through this chewy raw exterior.
Yeah,
like, I don't feel like doing that. So you know what? Dennis is onto something. I've been doing it for a little while. It's definitely hacks. You can get double rice. You can get double corn. You can get double lettuce. You can get double everything except for the meat for free. To tortilla on the side for free. And you can make like 2 burritos for $8. It's insane. It's absolutely insane.
This is insane.
Now you're about to go do that. You're gonna go tomorrow to Chipotle and be like, "Yo, let me get a bowl, all right, and let me get some tortilla on the side."
I've just exploited.
Just wrap it.
I've exploited the Chipotle menu on the internet.
And I think you guys have a solid YouTube video, maybe at least a TikTok.
I feel like someone might come after me for this, but
you're
that was my final gift.
If we don't show up to work on Tuesday, it's because Chipotle took us out.
That was my final gift to all of you. Was my Chipotle hacks.
We're gonna hammer. Yeah, if we're gonna hammer the stock.
I definitely want to make sure we have time to talk about this. Us at the shop, we are frequent. We have frequent conversations about everything nerdy. We talk about video games. We talk about cartoons. We have our fair share of nerdy tattoos. We do our fair share of nerdy tattoos.
Yeah.
So definitely, we did my Majora's Mask. Colored it in after 7 or 8 years of having an outline. But I definitely want to, before we wrap things up, hear a little bit about how you're taking tattooing and a merchandise brand, and then now even a new shop, and kind of putting it hand in hand. And what your goal is, what your main idea is, because it's definitely something different than what a lot of people are doing.
Yeah, thanks, guys. So I was honestly I figured this was going to get brought up, so I was like trying to think about exactly when it started, but it was I'd say it was like probably end of 2018 is when it really just started to form. My pal Lucas, who is kind of like the co-founder of the company with me, he's into 3D printing. And he gets all these printers. Yeah, these things are nuts. Like it's kind of blows my mind every single time he shows me something. Like he just started working with this newer one that does everything in resin, and it's really cool. And so that's where
getting one of those on side note.
Yeah, dude, we're working on some really cool stuff. And there's this newer model he's been tell me that's coming out, and we're just gonna start creating like cosplay gear because you can do full helmets, shoulder plates, everything.
Sick.
So we're gonna be moving on to that, but yeah, where it started was he was just trying to do that, and we were talking and everything, and I was like, well, you know, I've always been wanting to really delve into just doing more pop culture and nerdy stuff. So I was putting together like prints. I figured out how to make my own stickers. I figured out how to do a bunch of this stuff. I was like, oh, well, why don't we just brand it all together? And yeah, so we got off to a really good, strong start. And then like everything else, the pandemic hit, and yeah, we got sunken for a little bit because we were popping up at like shows and everything. It just really works like going outside of I always say, like, if you have a product and everything, don't just like pigeonhole yourself into like just one demographic. Like if there's an opportunity to put your stuff out there, I don't care who it is. Like nostalgia is a part of their life. A Saturday morning cartoon, especially like being brought up, was the world to me. Like I used to look forward to that. Like even if I wasn't able to be there to watch those Saturday morning cartoons, I had a VHS tape in the VCR recording it. You know, like so I would go back and watch it, and like that stuff always meant so much. And I know it does to others. Like this past weekend, we actually got to set up. It was awesome. It was outside, completely safe. Everybody was separate. At a powerlifting competition, like powerlifting, weightlifting. Like these guys are just bench pressing like 450 pounds, like it's nothing. And I'm just like, this is crazy. And yet, like you have these big dudes that are all into that, just coming up and being like, oh shit, like, oh man, is that Shino from Naruto? And it's just like, it just goes to show you, like, it doesn't matter like what you do in your free time or whatever it is. There's still like between anime, like 90s cartoons and everything, it really does hit like a real like wholesome spot in your brain, and you just get that happy feeling, is how I say. It's like almost you know, it just like releases like endorphins.
Nostalgia.
I think one of the biggest ones that I would see as like a definite like moneymaker, no matter what demographic it is the 90s nostalgic cartoons. I really feel like people just love that stuff. I think I got a print from you. I got a print from you a couple years ago of, I think it was Nickelodeon characters, or if it was just Rugrats. It had Chucky on it, and I had a couple other characters. I forgot if it was full Nickelodeon or just Rugrats.
The Ah Real Monsters print.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, I really feel like 90s cartoons like are so recognizable by like not only kids from the 90s, but just everyone in general, that it's like that's like really big, you know. So I wouldn't be surprised if you bring that like absolutely anywhere, and people just kind of, you know, and are really into it.
Like and that's the whole thing. Like the term nerdy visions too, I know it just sounds like it's really like going through, but it's just how I like even if somebody's coming in for like Skull and Roses and stuff like that, like I love doing that too, you know. And it's not meant to deter. Like I want that to be looked at and been like, oh wow, okay. It's just I don't know, nerdy visions is just like how I view things. Like that's it. I like seeing the world in cartoon. I feel like that's a lot of the stuff. Like whenever I'm looking at stuff, I have a really cool, like, I feel like I have a really active imagination. Like I'll see something and I see it as more than what it is. That's and awesome. There's a lot of people I know that see that, and I know it just sounds like I'm walking around like I'm on acid or something, but it's not that at all. Like if I don't do anything, honestly, it's just, and I think that's because going back, you guys were having that conversation with like with Emma. I relate 100%, Brian. It's just not for fucking some people, and then you're just laying there, and then it'll just hit you, and you're like, why did I do this to myself? And you start panicking, you start freaking out. It's not a good time, you know. And for other people, it works amazing. Like one of my best friends, like he's just, he likes being stoned all the time, and I can't picture him any different. And it helps him be a stable person, and that's great. And that's how it is. Like I'm all for like legalization and all that. I think it's great. Not for me. That's not good for anyone with me like that, because it's like, I just start counting everything. It's like
Yeah,
everything
I had
starts
that.
going. Like I had a stuffed Yoda stuffed animal one time come to life and start sounding like Danny DeVito. Like I'm done.
Yes.
I'm done. Like no. Like that's it. Like there's just
DeVito Yoda. That's good tattoo flash though,
I'm about
bro.
to draw that up. I'm about to draw that shit up.
Yeah,
it
was very like troll toll fucking Nightman Danny DeVito
Yes.
style coming at me with a clipboard and shit. It was nuts.
Ah.
Yeah, that one experience, it definitely was not for me, and I definitely went about it in a way where I was trying to find alternatives to
You weren't
medicine.
listening though. You weren't listening to directions.
I didn't listen to directions because I'm used to. Okay, so this is from someone that used to take benzos for anxiety. That stuff kicks in within 10, 15 minutes. You know, it puts you in a different place. You know, but then I don't want those things in my life, so I tried to take a more natural route. And 2 hours when you're having a panic attack or when you're feeling anxiety, 2 hours is a little too long for something to kick in to help you. So not only was it 2 hours, but it didn't do anything, and I had to have the other half. And then an hour and a half later, 2 hours later, I'm watching PewDiePie on my phone, and it starts spinning violently in circles, and I can't breathe. So I'm like, not for me. It's not for me. But
yeah, so that's basically like that whole like imagery and stuff. Like I'm saying, like it's almost like a natural thing. Like I don't know. It's just something I've held on to now, and like I don't know. I don't ever want to lose that. And I think that's why I'm really hoping with the brand and like just starting to make the t-shirts and everything. And then when I found out, that me and Chelsea were expecting, like it's like it put things into a different perspective for me that, I want to build this company up for him. Like to have like something that I leave behind for him to be like, I always hear like one of the funny things, like not to tell like Wes's stories or stuff, but it's just funny because him and his kids and the way that they grow up. He overheard his son one time. I believe he told me he was at like some party. He goes, he's talking to someone. He goes, yeah, my dad just draws. Like it's just like one of those things. Like they don't know what they're doing. So I want to leave like a little bit more substance behind. Like in that sort of sense. And then when he gets older, hopefully he'll have like, oh yeah, dad worked real hard for what we have. And it's just like, I don't know. I'm dreading, I guess, that in the future. Like sometimes when I'm sitting back and I start thinking about this stuff, like I don't want him to look back like, Dad, what do you know? All you do is sit around and draw and complain all the time.
Oh yeah. Especially if you end up with like a corporate business mind child. I'd be like,
oh yeah,
my dad's just fucking drawing stuff. I'm out here making all the money. But yeah, it's cool. Like it's cool to get
like,
that legacy.
Where the fuck is your 401k? What do you know about a 401k? Like, yeah, like
my dad avoids taxes.
Fucking right.
Technically, we can't.
all good dads avoid taxes.
But yeah.
God,
do you? Let me ask you though. Obviously, you're getting ready to have a child.
Yeah.
More kid
on the
talk.
way
I
out.
can't even enter this conversation. I'm always left
Brian,
out.
just live vicariously, man.
I know. So all right, you're
pretend.
getting ready to have a child. Out of the 4 of us, 3 of us have kids.
Okay.
We've actually had to work around our kids to actually be able to draw and stuff for our clients for the next day and whatnot. At least I have anyway.
Oh yeah.
I usually don't draw until like at night. You feel like you're gonna be able to find a way to work around that time frame? I mean, the first 6 months for you, it's obviously gonna be, help and take care of the child, help take care of your girl and everything. Obviously it's do you think things are gonna change for you work wise? Are you gonna be like you have to find a way to balance everything out?
Yeah, I thought it's you bring this up, and this is honestly it's usually like a morning affirmation, like when I'm just laying there with my eyes open at first, like I start thinking, and reality sinks back into me. I start doing my schedule for the day, thinking, and I'm just like, and then at the end of it, once I figure it out, I go, now what's this going to be like this time next year? you know, like balancing out the kid. And I will be able to. It's just prioritizing and knowing how to do it. I know something will have to be dropped off at some point. Todd McFarlane says it best. I idolize that man as a creator and an artist. He says it best. He's like, everyone's kind of like a juggler, you know, and you have a certain amount of balls you can keep juggling, or pins, or whatever you want to use. And the minute you start trying to throw in that one extra one, it all falls down. So you need to know your limit, and that's what you're allowed to juggle. So something will have to give. I do a lot. I've learned like my number is pretty much like 5. I can juggle like 5 things at once. Like right now it's pretty much obviously tattooing, the brand, which is the business and all that. Then I have I'm currently like building a haunted house right now that I do every year, that
Sick.
I work with. Then I have band playing music, and then and right now is actually doing like some construction work. Like I'm working on the shop that I'm going into. So that'll be able to go, once that's done, that's done. So that puts me at 4. So I'm able to figure that out. And the haunted house won't be there all the time. It's just, I already look at it as like, I don't leave myself a lot of time anyway. So I'm always working on something. I just need to replace that time for my son. And I think I always go into something making it more than it is, and almost to the borderline point of scaring myself. So when I get to it, I already am like thinking of the 101 worst case scenarios and just going in to fight it. Like, obviously I'm not, metaphorically, I'm not going to take a swing at my son, like I'm not fight it, but no, you go in, you approach it, and I'm already in the mental state, and I've been told by so many, I'm sure you'll say the same thing. It's like, you can think about it all you want, and it's just like, but once they're in your physical possession holding them, it's like a different like experience.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to that greatly.
You definitely will have a whole different perspective. I only have one child, and it's a whole different type of love. It's a whole different type of respect. And I've always felt like, I was always motivated prior to be a tattoo artist, but with having him, having my family and stuff like that, it's motivated me more to be a better tattoo artist. And I feel like, along the way you'll get that. And I'm sure you'll be able to balance everything out, because it's, there are plenty of tattoo artists out there who have a family, who have children, and they've managed to make everything work.
My mentor has 5 kids, and
Goddamn.
He's a saint. And like, once again, and then between like learning from Wes, who has 3, like I feel like all I've done is like take notes in the background. Like, no, 100%. No, you're right, Dennis. 100%, man. Like, so, I'm just like I said, I just am building it up bigger than I think it really will be. But it's just like, like I said, fear. Like, fear.
I'll give you this advice. It just ends up blending into your life in such a good way. Like, it ends up being just like, it ends up stop being a routine, and it ends up just being, it's the best way to describe it. It ends up being just a part of you. Like, having a child ends up being just a part of you, and it just becomes this whole different thing. And I've personally have, my son's 3 now. I've personally been able to actually establish, like, things are, for the most part, a little different. Socially things are different, but it's still this. I felt like it's still also been the same, even prior. Like, nothing's really changed that much. But I hope that, like, things definitely will work out for you, and I hope that you get things, it'll all end up being one big thing. The best part is watching your kid grow up those first couple of years, because you get to watch them learn things along the way. Like, and you're like, oh my God, things that are so simple for us now at this point in our lives, obviously because we're all adults, that you're like excited when they actually like pick something up or say something or do something that you wouldn't, that you're like, oh, that's nothing. It's a whole different experience. So I honestly, as a father to someone who's going to be a father, I hope that like it comes to you in such a good way,
Thank you, Dennis.
and it doesn't affect it won't affect anything. If you have things going a mile a minute for you, just know like it'll make a slight change in your life, but nothing to the point where it's going to be in such a good way that you're going to even motivate yourself more.
Just sacrifice sleep, drink more
Yeah, that
coffee.
too.
Just
You're gonna be
you only
working
need
more. You're
you
gonna be
only
more of a
need you
night
only
owl
need
if you're
6
not.
hours of sleep, and take
Oh,
every
that's what I
moment
learned to operate, and yeah, so
take
I
every
make sure
moment you can
that,
with the kid. Like
yeah,
get the time in because they never get little. Like they just
Yeah,
get bigger. You know what
they
I
never
mean?
stay, man.
So
Like I
like
can't
you
believe
gotta
my
soak
son's
that
already
shit.
3 years old. He's already,
well, that's
I,
why I'm grateful. Like my father, I love him, and like getting older, like I'm understanding more and more the sacrifices he had to go through. I am so grateful that I am in this line of this career because I have freedom with my schedule.
Yep.
I really
It's
do in
good.
comparison. And he worked for UPS for fucking 29 years, and the Christmas season, forget it. I got to see my dad like, if I was lucky on Sundays every week leading up to Christmas, and then I got to see him on Christmas Day. And it's like, because that's all he was doing, especially during, I can't even imagine what it would have been like if Amazon was around in like 95, like that would have
Right.
been the
Probably even more.
and
Yeah.
but yeah, so I plan on definitely being able to be there more often in that sense,
Hell
just
yeah.
because I make the money and do that. I just think back because even working at Lowe's when I used to work there, like I would see all these people like just missing all this stuff with their families. So I'm just like I'm definitely grateful, and I'm not going to take that for granted at all. And I'm going to definitely
Yeah.
take the time to spend with them, with him.
Hell
Yeah,
yeah.
I just went and I was leaving work. I left like a little bit early, finished up my work, and I just called my dad, and like I went to my dad's house and went there for a little bit, and
Nice.
we just like sat there and talked for a couple hours, and it's just I don't know. I sometimes I feel like I hope I can be as like as good of a dad as he was,
Yeah.
because obviously like raising this kid that now has like multiple tattoos on his face and like struggled for a while to like find something that he is, and like my dad is like I think finally like understanding my career and finally understanding like the relevance I have in at least my area and tattooing it, and he's pretty stoked on it. um it's a pretty cool feeling, and I hope I can one day feel the same. um but congratulations. I'm a little disappointed, as good of friends as we are, you didn't tell me this sooner. But but no, I'm kidding. But congratulations, and it's definitely really awesome.
Thank you.
And everything that you got going on, it sounds pretty great. And I hope I can just grab you for a few more minutes because I want to talk a little bit about tattoo.
I honestly, actually, I got around to my drawings. That's why I'm probably gonna be staying up another 2 hours because I'm just catching up on work. So it's like, but honestly,
I think we're always all at that point.
No, I honestly, I sat, I made sure I finished up the other work I was doing and left myself 5 hours before going on here, and actually got one of the bigger ones out of the way. So you guys can get me for like a little while longer. Yeah.
Cool.
I want to talk a little bit about tattooing because I know your company goes a little hand in hand with tattooing, and as far as nerdy stuff goes, I am a huge tattoo nerd. I love everything tattooing. And I know last time we talked, you're on Goliath. Goliath is
and even with the pandemic, they renewed me to still be on the team. So yeah, they're fantastic.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I just want to talk about a little bit about your tattooing,
Sure.
and where you're hoping that goes. Like if you're trying to keep that like a full-time thing, and that's the main aspect of the brand, or if you're trying to branch off and have more of have it be more of a brand and tattooing is kind of on the side, or what you plan on doing? Where's tattooing going for you?
Tattooing is the heart of it all. Always will be. The brand itself is the I don't know, the extension. So definitely tattooing always comes first. I mean, that's it. I mean, that's involving like uh it's hard to describe. It's like the connection I have with people in tattooing will be way more than any figurine or t-shirt or anything I ever make. The trust that a client gives me to put something permanently on them will always outdo any t-shirt sale, whatever I come up with next.
Right.
Yeah. So it's like, but the brand itself, as I said, is just it's an extension of and going on with tattooing. Just from a business sense, it's an additional stream of revenue. So that this way I'm generating more money for me and my family, because there's only so many hours a day you can tattoo and not like jack up prices on people, right. I like being fair. So it's like, and then this way, we go into like the whole retail, a t-shirt, stickers and everything, that's add-on sales, like people who want to come through and commemorate not only just having the tattoo, but being able to wear the t-shirt or, buy a t-shirt for a friend. I think that was a big part of it too. It was just like, not everybody wants a Mario tattooed on them, but they love the design and they want to rep it.
Right.
They don't have to have it permanently on them for life. They can wear it on a t-shirt.
It's a cool way to think about it.
Yeah.
Because everyone, in tattooing seems to want to kind of go the clothing route, and do t-shirts and stuff like that. My friend Jim's doing t-shirts, and I always snag whatever he's got going on.
Oh my God, his stuff is so sick.
Yeah. So
and then like I always he's got right now. Shout out to Jim right now. The fucking the Hanya shoe emblems are fire. I'm definitely. I'm pretty sure I'm about to order some.
That guy's out of control. But like I was thinking about doing shirts, but just as like one, just as like a, like I got tattooed by B Setzler Tattoo and I got this shirt, like a logo on the back, but like not try to make it like a big thing. What do you recommend for people? I heard you were getting into some trouble with
don't go through fucking Teespring. I'll say it flat out right now.
That's fucked.
I oh God, I hate harping up, but it's just like, all right, so long story short is like, if you go through them, make sure whatever you're using, be super mindful, keep it simple, use words, and make sure it's not a quote, because they'll go through, they'll accept the image, they'll approve it, they'll let the orders go through, you do the orders. As soon as they send out the last one, the very last one at the end, they will just put the kibosh on the whole fucking thing. They'll be like, oh, we refunded this one because someone on our sales floor found it, deem it either offensive or IP issues and stuff, because a company like Teespring has been getting sued since, I believe the first court date goes back to like 2016. So they'll squash it. So in my case, I sold about 28 orders on opening night. It was up and going for about 3 days. They canned it. They printed out everything, mailed everything out. And then we're like, yeah, well, your account shut down, so you can't get any of your profits because you basically signed the terms and agreements. So it's like the South Park episode where Kyle just doesn't read the fucking things for Apple.
It's the human centipede.
Yeah. So that's basically what happened. I just got my lips sewn to their asshole and I was eating shit. Like, I don't know. Like I'm out of it because I didn't read. So that's it. But
that's a bummer. When setting up your brand for like the, going back with Brian with the shirts and stuff, did it take you a couple of different companies to try out which one actually like what t-shirts you like best on your designs? Because I just like Brian, I'm also looking into possibly doing my own t-shirts. I considered probably doing like a pre-order first instead of just ordering a bunch of shirts and then just kind of doing that. But my thing about it is trying to decide on where to go to get the best quality type of shirt. So to make sure that I actually get the money's worth I need from that. Just because, like, I don't want to end up getting some shitty ass, like,
Yeah.
cheap ass shirt and I spent more money than I need to for it. You know what I mean? But for you, did it take you a little bit to kind of figure out where you want to go, to try out a couple different companies and maybe have like some like demo shirts for yourself to figure out what works best for you?
Yeah. The biggest part of the process is just that, and finding out a way to do it. There is distributors that can work, like the one I am currently working with now. They're great, very reputable. It's actually his name is Seamus. He was actually the original. I believe the original. I could be wrong on this, but he was, regardless, the drummer in Vanna, and he works Downright Merch. They're based right out of Massachusetts, and they're absolutely fantastic, and they'll set you up with what's best suited. Currently, right now, with all my inventory, besides one T-shirt that I did through a local distributor, Triple Stitch, out of Prospect, Connecticut, they're great. They do a great job, but as you said, it doesn't work. You'll never. You'll barely even break even if you just buy a bulk load of T-shirts. I mean, unless you're like Supreme, like that, your stuff's not gonna fly quick.
I don't want to get into that. My mentor is big into Supreme, like he's huge in Supreme.
Yes, yeah. So you go down like that route. Like anyone who's getting into garments and stuff like that, you hope to be that level at one point. But it's just like anything else you try and succeed at. But like I would do a couple orders, which was another strange thing, going back to Teespring. Like, I was doing sample orders. Like, what were you guys waiting for to, like, not be okay with this, which was even more sketchy and grimy about it. But yeah, there's great companies out there that do customer order to print, so you're not doing any upfront costs, you're just getting a percentage cut. So
yeah, I've seen some of those websites where it's like you put your design
like
up
that.
and like the profit goes to the artist. There's one I was kind of looking into, which was like, I think T Public or something like that. I don't really remember.
I haven't heard necessarily bad things about them. They're okay. And then there's Printful, which I've heard great things about. And then Carrie Ann, who works at Burning Hearts Tattoo, actually has some great stuff up on her Etsy store, and she does a lot of stuff through like Society 6, which they're a great company as well. But like going through that. So at the moment right now, through Downright Merch, I have it going through them, and they have their print to order stuff. So pretty much over there, Ricky is one of their e-commerce pros there, and I will send him my PNG files. He takes care of it. He does the full web page design for me. And you let him know whatever garments. With the iPad Pro that I use, I'm able to use Procreate and do mock-ups to give him the idea, and then he makes the professional mock-ups to go on the site. And and then it just goes from there, and then they handle the distribution of it.
I'll definitely want to talk to you afterwards at some point about it, because I'd love to actually get some more information about that.
Anytime.
Now, what I've noticed is a lot of people with T-shirts are doing. So there's the websites where you give them your images, and then if people want to buy them, they order it and then they print it.
Yes,
that's what he's saying.
Yeah, I'm looking more to do, and like, obviously if you have like multiple shirts and you're making more of a brand that is included in your tattooing, but also separate, like people can collect the shirts and collect the new ones. That's probably the way to go, so that you don't end up with like extra inventory of certain shirts and lose money. But if I'm doing like one shirt, it's my logo. And basically what I'm hoping is, like, I don't think anybody, there'll probably be a few if they would jump on and like maybe order the shirt and get it sent to them. But like, I feel like physically having the shirts at checkout at the shop is going to do better for that one t-shirt for me for like my tattooing
Add on,
specifically.
yes.
Yeah. So like if you're there, it's like, hey, do you want to, like check it out? I got a shirt. Versus like, hey, check out this website. You can go here and order this shirt, and then it'll be sent to you in X amount of days. Where it's like you could just have this right now for $20 or whatever.
In that case, I would always recommend just doing print on probably just like the front side, and then keep it simple, and it'll be more cost effective in that sense. I recently just had a batch, like the t-shirts that were made, and it was like breast pocket, but without the pocket, but my logo on the front,
right.
Shy Slasher on the back, limited edition purple tees for that. And it's just like I got all those, and I'm not going to break even with them, but once again, it's just something to have it there and really have something to sell. But in order for it to be cost effective, I would do probably like one color front side, probably either black or white on black or white.
That's what
and
I was
just
thinking.
keep it like that, and it'll be way more cost effective. Yeah, I mean, I was getting, by the time you do the direct image, it's I can't think of the name. I want to say, is it silk screen? Yeah, I think it's a silk screen film that's on it. Like, it's real, like, I went overboard with those shirts, but it's just like I needed something for the event, and Triple Stitch, like the technology that they have there in Prospect to make some of these shirts, out of this world.
Yeah.
It's just, I can't in my right mind sell a t-shirt for $30. That's insane.
Yeah.
So yeah, like if you're breaking down your cost compromise, there's awesome print shops around. Whatchamacallit? Lowbrow print shop out of Bethel. Those guys are amazing over there. Brian DiCrescenzo, Cody, all of them. They've done prints for me in the past, and they're great. It's just, it all depends what you're trying to go for. I'm going to do like pre-orders on a few of the things I have coming out, because fall's coming up. I have some long sleeves I want to make with some imagery going down the sleeves. Those type of things are not, you can't do print to order on those going through company. So, but yeah, it all depends the merchandise. I mean, I'm more interested in what my buddy Lucas is doing with the 3D prints. Some of the stuff we have coming out with that, and now that he has this resin printer. ZBrush is the program he uses. Dude, it's you just kick back and like you're just watching someone that really knows what they're doing on there. They're just like going through with the mouse, just carving it out like it was in front of you, and it's just
what it's called. ZBrush.
ZBrush.
Yeah, ZBrush.
Yeah.
I'll keep that in mind.
Because it's just a giant. It looks like a giant like circle of clay is in the middle of the screen, and spin around, and you just start carving at it, and you bring it to life.
I'm pretty sure there's an iPad Pro version of it too. Like I've used it in the past. I made some pretty cool like biomech models and stuff out of it. It's not too difficult to pick up, and I'm sure with YouTube you can get good quick.
Yeah, I got a 3D printer for my birthday a couple months ago. And I've been kind of, I've messed with it over the past couple of months. I even actually did stuff for the shop. Given the circumstances of like how everything's going, we haven't been able to actually have our physical portfolios out or like our cards out. So I made everybody a magnetic card holder, which I actually designed myself actually on my iPad. And then I printed it out. So I think I printed like 6 of them, different colors, put magnets on them. They all attach to all our stations. So I'm constantly kind of lately I've been thinking about, other things. I talked to Angela about some I want to do for the shop too, again. Because a lot of us, mostly all of us use like Sanderm.
Yeah.
And so I had a way to actually make that work for us, even in a better way. So I'm kind of working on that now. Which also, speaking of which, like for you with your tattoos, do you use Sanderm? Do you use like, second skin? If so, do you have a certain particular way that you allow your tattoos to heal?
Mm-hmm.
What's your take on that? Like during the healing process for your tattoos?
Yeah, they're It was the one. It was actually the brand you guys brought up. I think it was last week. Yeah, with Emma. The the recovery.
Derm.
The one.
Yeah,
The one
I think she had brought it up.
Yeah, it's
No,
this.
sorry, Brian brought it up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that one I use because I actually got into it because Eric Coffin is actually sponsored by them.
Derm Shield. Derm
Yeah.
Shield.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you like that? You like that? You like that works well for you?
It was cool.
Yeah, it sits on well. I typically because you guys had covered a lot of that and I was agreeing with a lot. I do not like at all the thought of my client going home with an extra sheet and trying to apply it on. They're going to trap something underneath it. It's scary.
That's where I was. Yeah, that's what I was saying. It just sounds like a nightmare to me. It absolutely does. And
like I explained last time, it's not like I do that. Like for me personally, I don't do that with all my clients. There are certain clients I feel like I can trust enough that they know how to take care of it to be able to do it. Like my recent client, I just tattooed her Friday, I think, and I just finished up her piece. And she's a tattoo collector. She has tons and tons of tattoos.
Mm-hmm.
And I just finished doing like a bunch of funky looking geckos on her ribs, and I think it took like 4 sessions.
Yeah, I saw that. Awesome job.
Thank you.
Job. I love it. Yeah.
So about not last session, but session before, when we actually started coloring the tattoos, I had her do the process of keeping on stand derm for 24 hours, wash the tattoo, make sure it's all fully dry and everything, and had her apply it again for another 5 days, which a lot of artists have been doing it. I did it myself when Bowman tattooed me. And she had messaged me a couple days later. She's like, you know what? This is the best thing that's ever happened to me out of all the tattoos she's done. She's got a whole sleeve. She's got tons and tons of tattoos, especially like her sleeve is fucking gorgeous. I can't remember the artist that did it. I know one of you guys knows.
It's Alex Vido.
Alex
Vido.
Yeah. And so she had messaged me a couple days prior, and she's like, I don't have to worry about anything. I don't have any issues.
Yeah.
And when she came in and showed me, it healed fucking perfect. Like you couldn't tell difference between the fresh tattoo I did and the healed tattoo. And the same thing applied when we did it the last time. And then when I did this week, and I recently posted, you really can't tell much of a difference between all the healed stuff and the fresh piece that I did. So it's I like I said, I don't actually offer it to everybody because I know I don't want that situation to happen where they end up trapping something in their tattoo.
More people you do it, the odds increase.
So that's why I only give it to certain people that I know that can handle that situation. Just because I know exactly how I trust how they're gonna handle their tattoos and know how they're gonna take care of it.
If people want to come in and get it replaced, I'll do it. But that's just not on a lot of people's schedule, is to come back the next day and when I'm not working and get it switched. So.
Yeah. Prior to the pandemic, I was having, before we had like the restrictions on the amount of people that were allowed in the shop, I'd tell them, I'd be like, if you want this changed out for the next one, I go, come in and see me tomorrow. We can take care of it. No problem. No extra charge. Because I want them, because the fact that they're making the time, like coming in to do it, like, okay.
Sure. Yeah.
And then, and then usually if anything, if they don't come in the next day after, I just directly recommend them to Aquaphor for about 3 days. And then Aveeno non-scented lotion. I think Aveeno is like one of the best lotions out there. It works best on me personally. And everyone I really have like recommended like lotions to. That's been great. Some clients, like, I don't know, like I don't want to call anyone out or anything like that, or make my client, if anybody does have to be watching, like, it's just sometimes like I recommend it, I look them in the eye and I'll tell them this, and then they're showing me like, they'll be like 3 days later, like, hey, it's irritating, it's red. I was like, oh, well, what step are you on? And then they're showing me like, it's like Neosporin. And I'm like, well, we're not we're not listening. That's
unfortunately we definitely have you're always going to have those clients that don't actually listen to everything you do.
Yeah.
And
it's
it's
like, oh, well, my
frustrating.
friend told me. Oh,
Yep.
okay.
Yep.
It's so
All right.
frustrating.
Well, so yeah, so let's start. It's like okay, so we're gonna try this again. Like I want you to go out, I want you to get the Aquaphor, and we'll just start from the beginning, let it heal.
Yeah.
I do have a couple clients that can't use the second skin.
Definitely.
Sure.
Definitely.
Yeah,
And
it definitely
he said
happens.
gnarly irritation on them, and I feel so bad because they love it, because obviously not an out of sight, out of
Definitely
mind
convenient.
deal,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but yeah, not when it's causing like this insane rash, and it's
Ah,
just how it is.
It's unfortunate. I've had about less, over the years I've used it, I've only had probably less than a handful of people who've had issues. But I mean, they're there, there are people who have sensitive skin. It's unfortunate, but yeah, definitely. I just recently actually had a tattoo a couple weeks ago that they had emailed me, and it was bad. Like they had a big rash from when they used it. I'm like, all right, at least I know they can't use it. But I mean, then you just go back to the old methods, plastic wrap, and they take care of it that way.
I tell everyone like, just let me know if you like it. We use it. If it didn't work for you, we don't. Because I just started using the a derm again, and it just because I like to have the option if other people are doing it and other people have it, people ask about it. I don't want to be that guy that's like, I don't believe in it. Like I'll just be like, yeah, I got it. Like here you go. But if it's not for you, then we won't use it. But I use Second Skin. I just started using that, and I just recently used it on myself, and I think it's a pretty good product. I'm sure it's the same exact thing as Sanoderm. That
seems like it went on way better. Like I feel like I used it on him on his hand, and it was the first time I ever used it. I don't know what it was, but it went on like way better.
Yeah. The derm shield though is crazy.
Oh, like Sanoderm, I feel like Sanoderm's adhesive, like that'll just that'll peel your soul off with it. If you got it on there super good, like there's people that have like I know.
I'll take a bathroom break. I'll be right back.
There's no, but that's why like I really do like like Sanoderm I think works great, but I mean I've seen people like have skin like that got pulled off with Sanoderm.
I want to order that derm shield though because I liked its consistency. It was a different feel. It was like almost like a matte finish. It wasn't like that clear plasticky like Sanoderm is or Second Skin is. It had like this weird kind of matte finish, so when you put it on, it was almost a little like opaque, like it kind of matte finish to the tattoo, but it felt like it like moved with the body. Like it just felt very like form fitting. Like it almost
those are the ones that you have to ask your client if they have a latex allergy to.
Okay.
That's what it's doing. Yeah. You have to be careful. And sometimes that's what it is. Like there was this one, and I feel like the recovery one, that one is the closest to it. There was this one called Second Skin TAC, and it just disappeared out of nowhere. Like all of us were using it at the shop. It was awesome. And then the recovery derm, that one came out, and it was pretty much, it had like the double set of arrows down the center of it and everything like that.
That's what I used.
Yeah, exactly. And that one's the closest one to it.
She brought it for her appointment because she uses it at work. She is the counter person for over at Dark Side. And so she brought it to her appointment. And she's like, yeah, I use this, and I tried it, and I really just liked how it went on. I just thought it was really, really cool. It was really interesting.
I think companies are moving to that though, like the Sanoderm Flex, which is hard to get your hands on because they sell out of it almost instantly, it seems, every time they get it. But it's like that, and I like it a lot better. And it like I've put it over like sketchy areas, like by the armpit, the elbow ditch, like places, the knee ditch, places that like get friction and get irritated and have those weird reactions, and it did fine. Like
thighs are a pain in the ass to put it on though, just because from like sitting, laying down and stuff, the way that it stretches, it's like wrapping it with like saran wrap, even that, because you're always going to have the top that peeks out and stuff. Like you got put on, I feel like really well, and that's why I like you were saying, Brian. That's why I like the recovery term the best because it is a little more flexible and it does move with skin. Yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was a little more like opaque. Like it had this like weird. I don't know how to explain it. The only thing I can think of is just like it was like matte finish. Like it just felt different than the Sanoderm. But I think there's always like a part of our episodes where we just talk about like what we're using as not only for like aftercare but like your tattoo equipment. Like I'm pretty sure in the past like you were a pretty big advocate for World Famous. Are you still
with
rocking
them,
with those? Are you are you on their team or anything like that? Are they?
No, I'm hoping. I mean, the way that everybody's leaving, it's kind of leaving a few open slots, but it's like, no, it was funny, and that was the one thing. Bowman was saying. There is a set of really great skin tones that they use, and it's
I was thinking about buying those,
breast
like
cancer,
ordering those.
breast cancer set, pretty much, and they're phenomenal.
Yeah.
I've been using them a lot lately, and it is that difference. But that skin tone set he did bring up is really good as well.
Is it?
Yeah. And then just pretty much, I've still just been whipping around with the Zion.
Nice.
I'm gonna for this year for my birthday though. I'm gonna buy. I believe it's the Flux, the wireless one. Yeah. My gift to myself.
They're doing
just a straight job.
A whole thing right now where you enter for a raffle and you get a golden one. Right now,
pretty crazy.
They're gimmicks, man. That's the only thing. Like they always call these like special editions. Like they really are just trying to like pinpoint at the collectors. Like I'm sure like, all of us, it's like like I need fucking 5 of these. It's like pop vinyls. Like it's like I really need 7 different fucking Batmans to complete this.
Hey. I have about 25 of them.
I know. It's like what the.
And about like 30 different like Spider-Mans, but still.
Yeah, I need the pink Zion. I need that sparkly blue one. I need I need the orange and black one.
But we've been fucking with those. Like me and Angelo have we use a Zion, and then Brian. I'm sure you watched last podcast, so we he got us into the Dan Cuban Sidewinder, and that's been a big help when it comes to lining. He actually had me try a Dan Cuban shader on his hand, and it was interesting because it felt like I wasn't it felt like it wasn't going in as well as I thought it was, but it was. You know what I mean? Like it's one of those things where it's just like you're not used to it, but how if you're trying a new machine, how you don't realize how well it's applying.
Yeah.
But the results, the results are there. So it definitely was actually, doing what it needed to do as I was doing it. For you, do you just use a Zion? Do you switch back and forth between coils and have you tried other machines recently?
I haven't recently just because like I was teetering, like I was starting to look at a few. One of the ones
I feel like the Zion actually like lines good for you as well.
Yes, using the Goliath cartridges, like seriously, they're phenomenal.
I gotta pick some up.
Tom Bullman was the one who gave me my first cartridge, and like I just really like them, and I'm with him. Don't get me wrong; those membrane ones, they're sweet and everything. No, the classic white.
That's why I want to go back. That's why I want to get those because the company I have, like they don't use that. Like they switch to membrane entirely, and I'm like, I'm not feeling it.
I'm a little disappointed because I had I saw that a bunch of like local artists were getting sponsored by Goliath, and I was interested to like maybe try them out and see what was going on with them. So I was walking around the Mohegan Sun show with Chris Edge, and he's like, "Oh, I want to introduce you to the guy, Goliath." And so I went over there, shaking hands, we're talking, and blah blah. And I'm like, "Oh, cool," And I'm like, "So, can I get some needles?" He's like, "Oh yeah, what do you need?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'll just try these or whatever." And I'm like, "You don't have needle bars?" He's like, no, we're only cartridge.
No, just
And
cartridge.
I was like, oh, nice to meet you. Like, I gotta go. Like, I was like, I don't use anything that involves those. I've never tried them. I don't have a machine that uses them.
Yeah.
We tried convincing
So I
him
mean,
to get to the dark side, but
kind of. I mean, I want to say the company is like, I don't know. I feel like that kind of puts them in a weird position because someone like me that hears so much great things, and it's like you don't even have a standard needle bar. Like there's still tons of people using needle bars, so like I was kind of disappointed because I was like, I've heard the quality's amazing, like a bunch of local great local artists are using these things and repping these things. So I was excited, and then I was just like, oh, I can't even use them, because they don't make any for tattoo machines. I don't know what to do.
There's like that's why I was really surprised when I started getting into them a lot. I was looking at what they have, and the one thing I've admired about them as a company too is, and I think it's a good business model, honestly, as much as it does have that negative downside. They hone in, they focus in, and they offer like that one item. You could get your Sensi wrap.
True specialization.
But yeah, like Pedro and Day, like the two of them, like that's all the company focuses in on, and they just like putting out a quality like product. I even like the packaging that comes in, like it comes in like the box and it has the little slide out on it, so it's not like you're like flipping it open trying to get the thing out of the center and all that.
Yeah, I have some Tatsel boxes like that.
Yes.
Yeah. The flip is strange.
Yeah. So no, and I just like.
But yeah, it gives them time to. I mean, it gives them the ability to focus on the quality of one specific product rather than having to do quality control on multiple things, because there is a huge difference between needle bar and cartridge. So that's like the upside, I would say. But the downside is, it's like as a tattooer that I'm, like I said, tattoo nerd, I buy everything. I've tried everything. I like stuff. I want to buy stuff. That's why I tattoo, to buy more tattoos.
Their customer, and the other thing that I feel like really sets them apart too is their customer service is just like, even before I was sponsored, they're just so nice. They're so nice just to talk to on the phone, being like, hey, so like I'm kind of looking for this, like what would you recommend on like the Zion for that, and like they're so willing to help you because they are tattooers. Like they're not, that's the one thing that helps them stand out too. Every single member of that company is a tattooer. Every single member. Word. So it's like, it's not like just trying to get rich scheme people, like they're great.
That's another thing too, is like as a tattooer that firmly believes in keeping tattooers and tattooing with products and stuff like that, is I'm always looking for brands that are tattooer owned and operated. So I have recently found Chroma tattoo ink I've been using a lot, and I mean, I talk to those guys almost daily, and they just respond as soon as I message them. They'll show me the pigments outside of the bottle, inside of the bottle, in a tattoo form. They'll show me every single thing. They'll send me samples for, every time I make an order, they'll send me samples. Sent me a t-shirt, before the t-shirts were out. They'll do whatever. And then, they'll send me messages saying, hey man, like, you're one of the reasons why we're here, and like, they just really care about their people. So when it comes to like companies like, Goliath, it'd be cool to, again, use exclusively. And then like, I rep things hard, I hashtag companies. I've been hashtagging Stencil Green in my posts for 3 years, and like they're not even active anymore. Like they don't even do anything, but I'll constantly say like I use this obscure brand to stick my stencils on with. So like, I think that like it bummed me out more than anything. It's like I'm looking for these companies because like what other like needle companies are out right now that are completely tattooer owned and operated? Like Tatsel, like I love their needles, but if I call Tatsel, I'm talking to somebody in customer service. That's their job, is Tatsel customer service. And it's like, and if they try to give me some sort of advice, I'll be like, wait, no, I know more than you. Like I don't need to ask you this. Like you don't.
Well, give it. I mean, honestly, like I hope everyone makes it out of this and doing well. But some of these companies aren't going to be here in another year after everything that's going on right now. I feel like some of them are going to take a hit because the cost of supplies has gone up. Some stuff has mellowed out, but it's
hard to get
costing
gloves.
them do it. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. That between that and I remember, I'm not sure, I haven't looked at the price of it now, but when I went through and I bought my 2 gallons of Maticide, it was like $50 for 1 gallon at one point.
I paid 40 a gallon, and I just, as soon as I saw that they even had any, I bought fucking like I think 8, and I already had like 3 in storage and 2 more on the way because
markup, dude. Like holy shit. Yeah. And no gloves. And right now, you know, we went through the toilet paper famine, which, you know, I was dealing with okay, but now we're hitting this paper towel famine.
Paper towels, dude. When I see Vivas that are there,
dude,
I buy mountains of Vivas, bro. Yeah.
My client that works at Darkside, she was like, "So where are you getting these Vivas?" And I was like, I don't know. I don't buy them. I don't know where they come from. You know, like I think the internet,
the black market,
the secret things.
But like they look, you know, people. Some shops just like they literally go to the store. You know, they don't have orders coming in. They go and they send their front desk person to the supermarket to buy paper towels. And if they don't have them, what do you do? You know, like
a lot of my friends like
shop
in the Bridgeport area and everything were like, yo, you guys shoot down here to your local bodega. They're stacked, and it's just like all the singlets and stuff, like just showing it in their Instagram stories and stuff.
I was in a country store next to the shop.
Yeah. They're like, when you're coming down here and getting your rice and bean platter, be sure to pick up your toilet paper and paper towel. And I started laughing so hard. I was like, damn. Yeah, it was like they were just fully stacked. So yeah, they're out there. It's just you just stop in shops and ShopRites and that stuff. It's beat because everybody's going through there. You know, you just got to go through. You know, some things. You know, just a little unorthodox, or you can just order from Amazon and wait 2.5 months and it'll show up.
Dude, I have hand sanitizer on back order that I ordered. I knew I needed more of it. I knew it was going to be a problem, and it was on back order. And I ordered a straight up $1,000 worth of it, like the hand sanitizer, like for the automatic dispensers, because that shit's even worse on the markup because they know that they got you because you have that dispenser. But holy shit, dude, and it's still not come in, but it's gonna but I know that by the time it hits, it's gonna pay off great.
Yeah,
but like
some of these guys were real grimy with that too, being like, yeah, we got everything in stock, we got everything. Because at one of the other jobs where like I helped build the haunted house, we ordered from ZEP, that company.
Yeah, I know.
Ordered from them in March. Do you know we just got like a bunch of the stuff probably 2 weeks ago up here? Like that's like they were like, yeah, we got it for you, and they're like, oh yeah, we're just on hold. They basically just like dangled the carrot, you know, in front of the rabbit the whole way for the last few months. Yeah,
and that's a huge chemical company. ZEP is a big deal when it comes to chemicals. So yeah,
so they basically were just like trying to keep their business going and keep the money by just lying. It's going to get weird before it gets better. I feel like when it comes to some of our suppliers, and I hope some of these brands are able to, hold up, because I'm trying to think of what cartridge company it was, because I recently just saw like their whole social media went down. I can't think of which company it was, but they're gone. I'm trying to think of the name. It was a common one. There was a few people that were sponsored. Like it was just one of those things where they were just giving them like samples, and they were saying that they were sponsored. I can't remember what it was. Damn it.
That's rough.
Yeah, but anyway, it's like I'm seeing it already happening with some of the companies, and it's unfortunate.
Yeah, so support the people you can. That's part of the message for sure. Like, if you like it, support it. Buy a little extra.
Definitely.
Yeah, I've always been big into that in tattooing. Is just really try to do your best to pick the right people that you support and that you spend your money on. But at the end of the day, like there are a lot of things where you just have to go through the most corporate. Like the most corporate of companies, whatever they may do, or we are fortunate enough to have 2 local suppliers within a half-hour drive, at least from where I live.
Mhm.
So,
One
sometimes,
benefit about being from a smaller state and being in New England is you're not that far from really,
yeah,
some form of equipment you need.
right,
Or,
True.
it's
right.
nice.
So that we
Yeah.
do have some convenience, whether or not it fits to my liking or my
Mhm.
personal opinion or whatever. It is there. But
Jay's
there's
kept his
definitely
prices down too.
and Jay does carry Pulse does carry Chroma Tattoo ink, which is awesome. So I usually make my orders through Chroma themselves, but if I feel like picking up a color while I'm getting some other stuff, I'll just grab it from Jay.
Or you need a color for a certain appointment coming up.
Sure, yeah. Or I'm like
Yeah.
running low on one and it doesn't make sense
Yep.
to like do a whole order. Yeah, I can grab it from him, but if I'm getting more than a few bottles, I'll make the order
Handling.
directly.
Shipping and handling sometimes could be the whole cost of that one bottle of ink.
Yeah.
That's insane. I hate that, and I know we've all gone through it. You guys have to. You put the ink order in. It's like a day later, and you're like, that fucking color, man. You're sitting there, you're about to shake it for the appointment, and you just hear that ball clacking around there. You're like, you son of a bitch, look at it.
Yeah.
No, it's worse. It's worse when you do make an ink order, you get your inks, and then you find out you actually need these other inks that you're like really low on. You're like,
Yeah, yeah.
it happens to
That's
me all the time.
at conventions when you're going to go pick up. That's another gripe I have with like the way conventions. It's just there used to be like discounts through these companies when you go to a convention. Like there was always like lower prices, and now it's just like, well, yeah, it is discounted. You don't have to pay for shipping and handling. Like that is the discount. And
Yeah,
I remember
fantastic.
when I was first going to conventions back when it was like, you could get like 2 bottles for the price of one and stuff like that. And I think that's long gone now, because I can't even imagine what it costs these companies now to produce this ink with the amount of supplies being diminished because of what's going on.
Sure.
Like that's got to be
Yeah, I know. It's like, I think Starbright, it's like on Sundays at the conventions, like they would go like a certain discount on 1 ounces or 2 ounces or something. They would
yeah
the price down. Or Eternal, sometimes like I would go to the Eternal booth on Sundays, and they would they'd be like, hey, if you want that one too, I'll do this and that. But that's like if they're cool about it, or
That guy's a
whatever.
broker. The Eternal guy, he's a fucking hustler. The guy
Yeah.
at the time, at
Oh,
least the
sure,
guy that
yeah.
goes to Tommy's. Because
No, he's
I'll
the
go
same
there
guy
and I'll be
everywhere.
like, yo, I'm fucking, I need the inks first off. I want these inks. I got cash. What are we talking per price on the
Yeah.
bottle? Like, and I can pull them down usually to like $6-7 per ounce.
But I mean, when you're going through companies, obviously you're not looking for freebies. You're not looking for them to hook you up. But like especially how I've been feeling like buying through Chroma, it's like I ask them about a color while I'm making an order, and then I'm like, yeah, you know what, I'm just gonna make the order, and whatever. And then he gets back to me and he's like, oh, it's this, this, and this, and I'm like, oh, I'll get it next time. He's like, no, I'll throw it in. Like, that to me goes a long way. Like, even though it's just a 1 ounce, it's like what, $9 compared to the 100 or something I just spent on ink. But it's like, he wants me to try it out. Like one of the first orders I made from him, he threw in like, he's like, tell you what, choose 4 colors that you want to try, and I'll send you samples. But his samples are 1 ounce bottles of ink. So I bought 4 colors and I got 4 colors. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like, that's when I knew. I was like, all right, this guy, these guys are legit. These guys, they want their stuff out there. And it's actually good, too, because I'm not just going to use it because it's like tattooer owned. If it's not working for me, I'm not going to use it.
Yes.
But it's actually great stuff too. It's a powder pigment, which makes me feel 100 times better as well. But it's actually, you can actually put it in the skin. It's not like a Waverly or a Luna where you need this very specific setup and this, and 10 more years of learning how to color pack to get it into the skin. It's actually, a powder that it feels like any other
It's
type
loose.
of ink.
It's
It's
looser
amazing.
than your average Eternal in the one
Yeah.
time that I've tried it, and it was a great color.
Yeah.
So
That's why I love there's one set through World Famous that was just a game changer for me, and it's actually Pooch's set. He has this monochromatic gray set through World Famous, and it's game changer. That set was amazing, and like when I had tagged him in it too, like he even had messaged me. He goes, is it really working well for you and everything? I was like, great. I'm not over here doing soft black and gray portraits, but like if I'm doing that like an Iron Giant tattoo or I'm doing something, I'm able to get that perfect pull like out of like a comic, you know. And that's because it's broken down over 6 different shades of gray going from the base, and they have it set up kind of like the pencils, like it's 4B, 2B, B, H, you know,
oh my
2H,
god,
4H. Yeah, so yeah, it's awesome.
That's cool. But
Yeah.
I'll still use like I still use a handful of Eternals. I'll still use like 1 or 2 Star Brights just because like I haven't found anything like comparable to certain tones. So it's like I I rep these companies, but I'll still use other stuff just because like I'm going for a result. I'm not going for to try and like you know be like that brand guy. Like, oh, I only use this, I only use this. Like, I only use what works, and if your stuff works or if some of your stuff works, I'm going to use it. So
Yeah.
there is still some of those Eternal colors where it's like I've been trying to like use all chroma, and then I'm just like, damn, this color is really 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 good. Like I just have to use this.
Yeah.
So one of those being Smoke by Eternal, it's like I can't. There's just all the color, like there's like 3 colors of Eternal I have, but I buy the big 4-ounce bottles of it because I know I'm just using them every day, and then everything else it'll be pretty much through chroma.
It's hard to break out of that habit when you're like used to using a certain brand of colors.
But I figure if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
definitely.
Like why am I trying to find an alternative in a different brand if like this one's actually just working for me? Like obviously I'd want to buy more from the chances of chroma messaging me back is much higher than Eternal. Um, about certain things, or I'm actually talking to a tattooer that's making this company from the ground up. But like Chroma also has talked to me multiple times because I've said, how can I get Smoke? How can I get True Gold? How can I get Red Cross? And he's like, we don't take, we know the guys over there. We don't take the formulas. We know how to make it exactly, but we don't do it. So like they don't step on toes. So they make things that are comparable. He's like, you can use this, and then if you think a little bit harder, you can mix it with something.
No, but
and
then
you might get it.
Consistency.
But he's not gonna tell me exactly what the mixture is. But he's like, you can make it. You just have to use your head. So I'll just use the Smoke from Eternal, and it's fine. But then the colors that I like from him, I'll use. But at least like, and then that's another thing. That's respect too. Like he's respecting the guys that are already in it, and he's just like, yeah, we're not going to mix that color. We know how. We're just not going to do it. So because of they know the guys from Eternal, and they're just like, yeah, it's their color. It's not ours. So I was like, that's actually pretty cool. I like that.
What are your guys' thoughts on companies retiring colors?
I fucking hate it because one of my favorite pinks is from Eternal and is fucking retired, and it's literally one of the best colors ever. It's a pink color. It's not called fucking Dusty Rose. I think it was called Dark Rose, and it was the fucking greatest dark pink ever made.
About this all the time.
It's like a magenta border pink. It used to be in the Mike DeVry set. Like that lets you know how good it was. Like when you have DeVry's using something, you know it's fucking great.
One. It's the darker Dusty Rose, right?
I think it's called Dark Rose. I'm almost sure it's been a while, but this is the one. This is the one. That like
you froze for a second.
Yeah. The whole internet just cut for a second. So, god damn it, I'm gonna have to edit this video together too. but yeah, that dude, that the dark rose, I'm almost sure that's what it is. And
Yeah, I think that's
when
what
I
it was.
found
Yeah.
out that they didn't have it anymore, I kept like looking and looking and looking and looking, and then like eventually, I just was at the convention. And I actually asked that Eternal guy. I was like, "Yo, am I crazy, or was there this great pink that was in a set that still is sold that isn't even offered?" And he's like, "Dark rose. I know exactly what you're talking like." And I was like, "Oh my god!" And I was like, "How can I get that?" He's like, "You can't." Like there, you can't.
See,
Honestly,
I don't think that's like I'll never understand that unless it's like a health
Toxic.
issue.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
probably was too good.
No, but
it's because of people like Angelo who really want it. So it's one of those things where they'll hold it off for a certain period of time. They'll probably use it on a set. So like for instance, like if you've ever used like Kelly Doty's Eternal set, there's certain some of those colors were actually originally retired and then renamed for her set.
yeah, but
Uh,
yeah,
you
you know,
also
and
you also
so
have to think about it as, you're dealing with now with like a major, more corporate brand. It's one of the biggest. It is the biggest name in tattoo
mhm,
ink. So they
yeah,
have literally hundreds of ink,
yeah,
hundreds of colors. And some are gone, some are still there. And if one isn't selling as well as everything else, they're not going to keep it just because like me and you like it. You
yeah,
know, they're going to be like, well, it ain't making me no fucking money, so I'm going to get rid of it.
okay,
That's from a business standpoint. Like, hey, this isn't selling as well, so we're going to get rid of it. It's the same with any product. But then, yeah, we're going to miss it because we've used it in a bunch of our tattoos, and now we can't use it in our tattoos anymore because
No
it's
one
gone.
makes a color like it. No one
But
makes a
they're not
fucking
going
yeah.
to
color
think
like
of
it.
it that they're not going to be like, well, we're going to, take the financial hit. We're going to keep making this color, sell a few bottles because these guys used it in their tattoos, and
Hmm.
we owe that to them. They're not going to think of it that way, like
No.
you'd like
yeah.
them to, but they're not going to. But
That's why I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure World Famous hasn't retired anything yet, which is why
They
I'm grateful on that. But
Yeah, here's the swatch of it. This is like from an old website. So
but
that's
I
the
think there's always a way to
twice filtered
mix
to mix
digital
it, you have to
swatch.
because
find you have to just find it correctly.
they
This
make
looks
a
like
lot of
electric
these.
raspberry on there, but like
Yeah,
even on
It's
my
more,
screen, it's a little bit more rich.
yeah,
Like I could mix it, but it's just it it'll never like be quite the same in the
because
consistency and
that's
stuff.
how they make a lot of their colors is they just put colors together.
yeah.
yeah,
Not always just them finding a pigment, and
There's always a range.
you know, so they know
or
the
an
formula,
artist,
but they just
yeah, or an artist making it themselves, and when they go pro, and then they're just like, yeah, can you guys make this for me? And they're like, yeah, we'll throw it in a box set and put a price tag on it. Yeah,
it'd be cool if you like could email a company and be like, hey, you discontinued this color, are you getting it back? And if they say no, at least if they could like tell you like, oh, but if
yeah,
you take this and this at this percentage and this percentage, that was how we made it, and we just don't continue it. So you still have to buy their product to make that color, but at least they're giving you a little bit of a heads up on how to make it. But who knows if they would even,
yeah.
I don't
Do
know.
you have a color that's like that, Joe? Is that why you're asking?
Um,
Do you have a favorite color that's in the graveyard?
there was this green at one point that they had, and it was one of the reasons why I know it was one of the reasons like I had stopped. One of the main ones that stands out, and this is going way back though, it's when I was using Intens when I first started out. And there was this one called Bull's Blood. And it's actually the one that's like outlined all these blood waves on my arm,
Word.
and they don't even make it anymore. So now I have an outline of an ink that doesn't exist, and like to do the fill. But yeah, my mentor, he'll probably end up at one point. We'll finish this, but yeah, it's like yeah, Intens was really bad at doing that. I feel like they would just retire colors so frequent. They would just do special edition batches, which I think is
Oh,
really silly for inks. Like there was a lot of stuff that they would come out with, and that was the weird part with Intens too. There were so many different consistencies. There was like these watered down wash types that they had. Then you have these really thick chalky pastel colors. and I feel like Eternal has like pretty much roped it in. They're all pretty similar consistency, I feel like. And World Famous is definitely there, besides a few of their skin tones, like
Yeah.
on the real like white spectrum, like even their pastels.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, like Intense was just all over the place. And being, a young, dumb tattooer, you don't know any difference, or that's what, my mentor is showing me. That's what I'm supposed to use, and that's it. So it wasn't until later on I got to experiment more with like different ink types and stuff.
Yeah. I've fallen out of love with like thick ink. I used to love Eternal, and I was like, oh, because it's thick and it doesn't like come out of the tube and fuck my stencils up. But like, since I switched over to inkjet stencils, I don't have fucking problems with stencils ever. Like, if
actually, that's the thing
anything,
I wanted to ask you afterwards.
if anything, they stick too hard. So like, I'm like, whatever. But now I love like a thinner ink that's like gonna just perform out of the tube, never clump up, never dirt like cause issues in my tube. Like Starbright is so good for that reason. Like I really have been loving using their ink, and the fact that Tommy pushed to like get that ink to be able to have a label on it that says sterilized, like even though I think they had to like move away from it temporarily, I think is just like a big indicator for me. Like even though he's not a tattooer, he's got some quality people I think that he gets information from, but like I like the way that their inks have performed for me so far, when dabbling with the ones that I have. But yeah, I still use Eternals as well, and a bunch of other stuff. And
Black, over.
Black, I've been sticking with the dynamic just because I love it. It's super loose and it goes like it stays super black. The triple black that they have is solid.
Black's not really something that we've talked about much on this.
True.
On this show.
Yeah, I was actually just gonna bring that up. Before we get into the black thing, I actually want to ask black inks. I want to ask you, have you used like our shop? We have our thermal printer, and then Angelo, I want to say last year he had invested in the stencil printer.
Yeah.
And what are your thoughts on that? Like, do you feel like using a thermal printer has worked more best for you? Have you tried the other printer, the stencil printer, and see how like things have worked out for you on that?
So my go-to right off the rip to make my stencils, and I think it makes the cleanest stencil, and I've had other coworkers come up to me to use it, that Amazon Thermofax stencil machine. I've taken it to all the conventions. It's $100, and this thing is still ticking. I've had it for 7 years now, and the thing is great. And the way that you just run it through, it's weird how you like load it, but everybody's like, oh, but you're wasting a whole sheet. No, if you learn how to cut the piece and you finagle it, you could get multiple stencils on one sheet.
Is it the one you have to open the sheet, put part of it in, and then you take the drawing and you send it through another part?
Yep.
Yeah.
I love that machine. I love it. The original like Thermofax. I know.
The secretary, baby.
With the heat. Yeah, with like the heat transfer one, the standard one. That thing, to me, anyone I've ever used is always so temperamental. Like you got to adjust the gauge just right, depend on how many lines are in the stencil you're making and all that. The actual just printer, Wes uses it. I haven't personally, just because it. I don't know. The printer I use is fantastic. It's not broke, so I don't try and fix the method.
Oh,
so like
before you peace out, you ought to use it. That stencil printer, dude.
Yeah,
no. I've seen his stuff, especially when he's going in to go do like a portrait work or something. Everything that it picks up, yeah. I look at it, I'm like, damn, that is pretty nice.
Nothing makes a better line sheet than that.
I think
it really does.
The lines are the crispiest, best. You never have any issues with the like line quality, thin, thick, whatever. It's like
honestly, the only thing I would say about the printer is
the paper's trash.
The paper. I wish that the paper was more of the Thermofax style paper. It's a little more stiff. And that's the only issue I'd say I'd have with it. Otherwise, I'd use it all the time. But with Thermofax paper, it's a lot more loose. It's a lot more. It's
It
more
wraps around the body.
forgiving. Yeah,
Oh,
it's
it's
more
better
forgiving
for
on the
wrap.
body
Yeah.
compared to the printer like stuff. So we actually experimented a couple of times trying, we actually use like yeah, you remember. We actually used like actual thermofax paper and printed it, and it worked. It actually printed very well on it.
I say
It
it
just
didn't shred it up.
it didn't but
No,
it
no,
didn't
it
shred
didn't.
it,
It
which I
actually
was worried
printed
about.
actually pretty nice.
It did
Yeah.
good, but it didn't transfer. It wouldn't transfer.
Yeah, it's one of those things where like it's definitely meant more like if you're doing not smaller pieces, but like I wouldn't use it for a chest piece. You know what I mean? I wouldn't use it for like a back piece. I'd probably use it to do like a forearm or like a shoulder or like a leg or something like that. And especially if there's a lot of lines involved, printing those lines, they come out fucking phenomenal. Um, but most of the time I'll use thermofax paper, and if I need to use the printer for other things such as that, like if I'm using like delicate lines, it prints out fucking wonderfully. Like if I'm using something that I'm going to use like a 3 or a 5 liner on it, it's phenomenal.
That the paper is a hindrance though, even just the paper
That's-
size
yeah.
being like only 11 inches, like the even between that and the 14 like on a standard like long spirit is a lot different. When you're like about to approach a sleeve, like 3 inches is all the difference, and plus the wrapping of the
I think
softer paper.
You're also talking about equipment preference that caters towards style difference.
Yeah.
So I'm doing traditional, neo-traditional Japanese. I'm doing bold lines with thin lines. I'm using a thermofax. My stencil is all lines. I've taken pencil drawings and put them through the thermofax and tattooed it because I know where I'm going to line the tattoo. I don't need a perfect stencil every single time because I drew it. I knew where it's going, and all my tattoos have lines. Where I feel like that printer is meant more for getting those values and stuff like that for a
Or for
different
like
for a
portrait
different
artists.
style. Portrait artists, black and gray, stuff like that. Where if I print that, there's no difference to me between printing out line work on a cool printer and then putting it through the thermofax. If the paper is going to be shitty in the printer, I'd rather use the thermofax. And the crispiness of the lines for my stencil coming out of the printer isn't going to mean anything. My lines are going to look exactly the same, no matter if it's like a little bit more clear. It's just because if the paper is not going on as well, the crispiness of the stencil doesn't matter to me, because the paper is not going on as well, and then the stencil is not going on as well. So I might as well just use the thermofax. But I did use the printer once because I was trying this, like I was doing a little black and gray experiment, not whatever. But for what that does for that style, with the values and everything, I mean it's pretty incredible. But it's definitely like you're asking if you're at, and then from what I've seen with Joe's work is it's kind of like mine where there's outlines. Everything has an outline. It's a lot of cartoon. It's a lot of video game. These things have outlines. You're just gonna run your line work through a stencil machine, and you're gonna tattoo it.
And it is, yeah. And a lot of the times too, what I do is I'll have like, I'm thankful for Procreate because I'll sit there and I'll have like 3 different line drawings layered. So my stencil that I print out is all super thin lines. So when I lay it in, it's like I'm not trying to make sense out of everything because I drew it. I know where the lines are going. That's it. But having the nice, crisp, simple, thin line keeps the stencil light. So when I apply it to the skin, like everything's there and it's nice. And like you said, I don't necessarily need like, it's a run through a printer. I can go right through the thermofax and everything's there. Yeah. It's never like I'm trying to get, the paint by numbers feel where I have all like cross, like hatch lines. And
if you are using Procreate, I guess you could say that, like if I have a line drawing on Procreate, I can print it out right to the printer, right to the stencil printer, instead of having to print it out on the printer, take the paper, put it into the stencil paper. So it kind of cuts out that like little printing process. But I do like I'd say 90% of my my drawings are done on paper still. So a lot of what I'm putting through the thermofax is actually just Micron on tracing paper is actually what I'm sending through. So it works better for me. But that's just because of my style. If I dove more into black and gray, I'd be like, yeah, I want to see every little thing, so I'm going to run it through this other printer and then try to, just learn how to use that different type of paper and that whole setup.
I
But
do a lot of
I think
fine line stuff too. So like when the that printer's like printing it has an advantage for fine line because of how durable it is. Like I never ever 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 worry about my stencil wiping away.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not that you should
there's
too often
there's
anyway,
pros and
but
cons. Yeah. No, go ahead.
no, that's it. That's like
Oh.
otherwise I think that's the biggest advantage. Like I think the durability of the actual stencil quality is a lot more.
Yeah. I mean, there's pros and cons to any stencil, whether it's a printer or from effects.
Yep.
The printer itself, though, like, there are times where, like, let's say if you're trying to do like an anime piece, it definitely comes in handy using that printer because, as anime pieces have a lot of line work, and it works. You know what I mean? Especially if
Also,
you like
segment
want to.
that shading, because it's all very deliberate, like very like boom. There is no gradient. Like,
But I would say the only two things that would have an issue with the printer are the paper and the fact that you have to actually reverse the image for it to print. Those are the only two issues I have with it. That's it.
Yeah,
otherwise,
strange.
Otherwise, everything else, like I enjoy using it. I'll use it when I need to use it. Otherwise, I use the thermofax paper if I need to use it. Just because, like, depending on what I'm actually tattooing is what works best for me. Like doing the back piece I did last week, that I definitely used, thermofax paper. If I had used the other paper, I feel like it wouldn't have stayed on as good as I thought it would. And it's only the paper. Like
It
I
definitely
feel
wouldn't
like it's
have
still
applied as
early.
easy. It definitely
I
wouldn't
feel
have
like
applied
it's
as easy.
still early for this company, and eventually they're gonna get to a point where they'll actually make something even better than what we already have. But it's I see that printer actually going far. Like definitely, especially people who do portraits and stuff. That is probably the best thing for them to use as a printer.
Yeah.
As a shop owner too, it's hella cheaper to have that printer than to buy Spirit paper.
Yeah,
especially when you're the one buying it and the people working for you have zero respect for stencil paper and the cost of it. So that was something that also just like got to be too much for me.
Yeah,
the classic.
I mean, I get it. Understandable.
Circle cut out the center of the full page when you go in the back, and then there's fucking scraps everywhere for you to clean up.
I learned from the beginning with the thermal paper. You got a design. You put it in the bottom corner.
Absolutely, yes.
Like you can cut out the shape and then put it in the carrier. I am a believer of full send. You take the whole sheet, run it right through. Even if the tattoo's this big, whole sheet right through. Other people, they're like, oh, it makes little dots on it. I'm so sorry. Like if your stencil has a little dot on it and you tattoo that dot, that's on you, bro. Like that's not.
We don't even want to get into that situation.
You're not gonna. That there's no freckle on your tattoo. You're not gonna tattoo it.
When that dot lands in the middle of someone's lettering though and clouds it up, and you can't tell the shape of the fucking thing you were working with.
Bro, I've never ever.
Yeah, how big is this dot we're talking though?
I've never.
It's starting to mess up.
They'll make big dots.
I've never.
They'll make splotches all over the place.
It's never affected me. It's never done anything. And then I'll always, if I'm in the back and there's like scraps, I'll always try to use scraps. I'll always try to find a piece that works, and just send it. But it's like, I don't know. I take the full sheet and just run it. And then when it prints out, you got this huge sheet and you got your stencil, you cut your stencil out, but you're looking at the sheet and there might be like a speck somewhere on this sheet.
Mm-hmm.
And then, it's just like, oh, look, see the dots. And I'm like
not only the
like,
dots,
not
but
gonna
then
do it.
you get every time you get we might flag again. Every time you run it through, when you warm that transfer paper, it's gonna make it weaker for the next time you use it. So like as you go up the sheet, it'll definitely
Makes it hotter and hotter. Yeah.
definitely makes the stencil like lighter and less strong. But yeah, I mean, the secretary, the three, like I think like that is this probably overall the best way to make stencils for especially large scale work. But yeah, I agree with Dennis. Probably the future holds good things for inkjet printing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
But yeah, as far as durability, it gets me back to one question that I had on t-shirts, and then maybe if you guys have any other topics, if you want to, we can cover them. Otherwise, we can go to like some closing statements. But t-shirts, like in my experience, I've tried so many things. Like I've ordered locally, I've ordered online, I've ordered from Vistaprint, huge distributors, whatever. I've tried everything. Longevity and washability and durability are so key for me because like I've
Yeah.
gotten dope shirts that are screen printed by local screen printers, look great, and then 20 washes later you have crinkle cracks through the whole fucking image that you had, and it's a piece of shit. Like now like the shirt pretty much is ugly to wear. Maybe you save it in the closet out of nostalgia for the design, and like you're like, fuck, this shirt's ruined. Same thing happened to a Monday Malarkey shirt I just ordered. Fucking love the shirt. Fucking like sent it through the washer or dryer like one or two times. Like folded it. Fucking thing cracked the shit. Totally ruined. And like I don't necessarily appreciate buying products that are like that, and I don't want people to get mine. And they have in the past bought these shirts that are shit shirts. Like they just didn't hold up the test of time and paid for them. So like
That's my
now
concern
I've
too.
done the Vistaprint ones that have the ink transfer instead of like the screen print, and those work well, but they also fade. So like what do you use? What are you looking at when you're like, I'm gonna go for this shirt, or are you going for like, this is
So
the shirt and it lasts how long it does?
yeah. With like the ones that I'm working with that they do it's pretty much the print through it really is a trial and error. The ones that come in through the direct to print, they are a little bit like the ones that get run through the printer. So they do have that little bit of a fade look to them. But at the same time, I feel like it really works for like the retro style and everything. So it kind of goes with it. But I get what you're saying though, which I was guaranteed with the batch that I got from Triple Stitch that, if they're washed in a standard wash cycle, they'll hold up. There's one, I can't remember the name. It's like vinyl something they call it. And that's the press that goes on there.
Mm.
They say immediately, and I recommend this with almost any t-shirt, by the way. Turn your t-shirts inside out and wash them. Unless there's like some crazy stain on them. But if you do that in there, and then when it goes to the dryer, because it's not even so much the wash that's ruining it, it's the dryers. Depend on like the heat and how much is going on there. That's what's messing it up.
I've only hung dry my t-shirts for the past few years. Like I think dryers just you go to the mall, you buy a $30 Sketchy Tank shirt, you wash it once, you dry it once. My freaking belly button's sticking out, and it's like an extra large, and I'm like, okay, well, $30 down the drain. I bought it once, and then I started hang drying my shirts, and it's like, you put it on, and it's a brand new shirt, So
yeah,
it's a lot of extra work, and it kind of like makes you feel like, okay, why the hell do I have a dryer? Why do they exist? But if you hang dry your t-shirts, infinitely better. Infinite.
Word.
Yeah, I've been thinking about like doing that a lot because a lot of my shirts are like that.
They'll warp and they get like wide and stuff like that. So
or like the shirt fades, the shirt itself, especially if you have something black, it turns gray after a certain amount of washes.
Oh my god, yeah.
And you're like disappointed because then just looks like it's pointless to actually wear that shirt.
Yeah. One of the shirts I just bought off of Jim, I've worn several times now, and I've washed it a few times, hung dry each time, and every time I put it on, it feels like the quality. It just felt like a brand new shirt. So I asked him where he got them done. He said someplace in New Haven, but I forgot the name. I don't remember, but I do know it's local, and the quality of the shirt is absolutely insane. So if I did go and get a bunch of shirts made, I would probably look into wherever he got his done, because the image is still super clean. There's no cracks. There's no issues. Um, it's brand new every time I put it on. It's crazy. Most comfortable shirt like ever. So he definitely did his research, and and I want to do the same. I want to make sure wherever I go, the shirt's going to be worth buying, even if it's just a $20 shirt at checkout. I want to make sure you can at least wear it more than once and not
Yeah.
The edge tattoo shirts. I wore it once and I dried it and it doesn't fit me. So like I couldn't wear it.
Teespring was using Hanes, which like I won't knock them for that. The quality of the stuff that they were preying on was actually really good.
Yeah.
I'll give them that. But the company I'm going through now is pretty much the same. So I believe it's Hanes t-shirts, the ones I was using through Triple Stitch, just because the durability of it, Gildan. So I was using that has the silk screening that they were putting through on it. So that just holds up better for that. So it really comes down to what you're doing, whether it's screen printing or heat pressed designing. It all that's what it comes down to what kind of t-shirt you want to use, because you're not going to want to use like a super duper like soft tee if you're using heat press, because it's probably not going to grip that well and it'll probably actually warp more.
Word.
Yeah.
We like at home fucked around with some shirts. I don't know if this would work for the kind of brand that you're doing, but we actually picked up like some dollar store shirts. They might have been Glidden, but we did like a vinyl what's it called, stencil, and then you like put bleach on it. Like you can either like put some on or flick some on and like do different effects, and then you wash it so it like cleanses all the bleach so it doesn't like eat through the shirt. But then it leaves like it leaves like a really nice looking, cool, interesting style transfer. That was for a buck a shirt plus a little bit of labor. So that I had like fun with, and I've gotten a lot of compliments. So I plan on doing like another probably short run of those just to like give out to people, and then otherwise like I do want to also same thing, like dabble with some more stuff that's like custom art on there.
Yeah. I mean, I always recommend it to anyone, because it's just like, even just having products there, it's something nice to have for an add-on sale for your client, for them to, it's like a souvenir, besides it's to give to someone like, hey, I went here, thought of you, and it's a t-shirt, because they don't necessarily, never mind even a Mario tattoo. Some people just don't want a tattoo in general, but just really appreciate the culture or just any of that in general. So yeah, I always think it's good to have like even stickers. Stickers are a no brainer. Like everybody loves stickers.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, we get it from Sticker Mule. Like Angela got me into that, and honestly, some of the best stickers I get from that. I've had a sticker on my car from them. One of my stickers. That thing hasn't faded, hasn't like
that's tough
to
pull off.
For the past like couple of years, and it's awesome.
See, I have this issue where it's like I'm ready to pull the trigger on like some shirts or stickers or just anything extra. I have the money for it, and then I'll just like buy a machine. And I'm like, I'm fucked. I'm just like, oh man, I was supposed to buy t-shirts, and I just bought another liner, so I got 10 liners now. It's like, what have I done? I'm just not responsible. I don't know. I need an adult.
It happens. So, so back to a subject that Brent had brought up a little bit ago. We haven't talked about like in any of our podcasts. We haven't talked about black, like the type of black that we use and stuff like that, which is surprising, honestly, because we're 9 episodes in and we haven't really talked about it.
Yeah.
Like personally for me, I use Eternal. I use Eternal Triple Black to do a lot of my line work, and then I use Max Black to actually do a lot of my solid black. Prior to that, I've tried different. I've tried different blacks, and even now I'm still looking for different types of black, just to get that solid feel for it. I've used, back in the day, Karasumi. I've used, yeah, I know, way back in the day. And I stopped using that a long time ago. Now I use like Eternals, Eternals liner black. But I find, and I've used dynamic because Angela's recommended me to dynamic. But I find for me, I found that Eternals triple black works best for me line work wise. Um, then I started getting into using the max black. I don't preferably like using that for lining, but I definitely like using it for like filling in like areas that are like supposed to be black. So when they're black, they're black.
What's crazy to me is how many how these companies have so many versions of black, which in essence is black. Like I don't know how there's no shades of black like it, but for some reason they're all different. I don't.
Yeah, you'd think if you had the better one, you would just discontinue the other shitty ones that you've been fucking trying to push.
Like literally, these companies, like Dynamic, it's just like Dynamic Black, and you're like, cool, straight to the point. And then they're like, this one is more black, and you're like, wait, what? Like,
why do you have black and triple black?
Even more black? Like how? So I use Waverly. I use Waverly Bluebird for my lining, and then I have Waverly Dark Black. Which I guess would be your tribal-esque black, your fill, but obviously I'm not pouring 2 caps of different blacks and lining with one and shading with the other because it would make inconsistencies, I suppose, in healing. You don't want to see your outline and then the fill be a different shade of black. But yeah, that's been great for me. And I used to use dynamic, but I've noticed it is more on the bluer end with some of my heels, and I didn't really care for it. But I'd still say dynamic is probably one of the better ones, though. So
I feel like it all depends on like their pigment amount and usage, depending on what they're using it for. But when I put in Max Black, I remember the first time I used it on a more religious piece, and it was a silhouette. And I filled that thing in with the Max Black, and that thing was fucking black. It was where I wanted it to be. And that's where I've recommended, like, you know what, try using Max Black, use it, it works. What for you, Joe? Have you done trial and error when it comes to using black? Have you found your niche for a long time? You've used just one particular type of black. For you, like where's that journey gone for you?
I've tried it all. I feel like for the most part, just working around so many. Believe it or not, for outlining, I'll still use Karasumi. I'll use that with a drop of what I'm about to say. Pitch Black by World Famous. That black is my favorite one that I've used so far. It goes into the skin so easy, and the saturation on it is just like the best.
So Karasumi had like this weird watery consistency to me. It was just so watery, but when I was told to use it, I was told to use it because my first shop that I worked at was Pelican in Hartford. And the guy that worked there at the time, Zeke, he was just like, do you have Karasumi? And I was like, no, I have dynamic. He's like, that's not going to do. And I'm like, why? He's like, because all of your clients are going to be like, I forgot how he worded it. He's like caramel or cocoa skin. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, you need the Karasumi. It's the only black that will heal properly in these skin tones that you're going to tattoo here. So I was like, sure. And he just handed me like a brand new, like wrapped bottle of it. And he's like, you pay me back tomorrow. And I was like, okay. And then
that's how I got into using it, was through my mentor. And
I think everybody started off at that.
Yeah, I mean, this is by my mentor. He uses at least he used Sumi, but like I don't fuck with Sumi.
My mentor used Talon's drawing ink. So that I believe is like
that's in the Star-Lord.
Like tried and true, like one of the best blacks you can get, because technically all black is India ink. It's it's Indian ink.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter whether you buy it in a Pelican bottle or a Talons bottle off the shelf at Michael's. You can use it for tattooing. But when you find things that are branded for tattooing, you feel a little more comfortable. I think is
Absolutely.
yeah. I think that's really what it is. But I don't think anybody has died from Talon's drawing ink, but a lot of like big people, they'll kind of they'll say like Talon's drawing ink and it's the best. And but even when you go to like supply websites and try to buy it, they say not intended for tattooing, but they're fucking selling it to tattoo.
Yeah.
You know what they're using it for, but it's also like a $50 bottle of ink. So
yeah.
No, 100%. Yeah. But yeah, that's what I mean. I've tried a few. Someone like going back to like this black is blacker than this black, so it's like exactly why get rid of it. Intens was super guilty of that, man. They were coming out with a new I would love it when they would try and go overboard and put it in a larger sized bottle to sell a larger batch so that they could sell this bottle for $50 and just put Polynesian designs all over it and just be like, yeah, this is the blackest black for all your tribal needs and stuff. And I would just laugh because like it was just always sold in such large batches.
I put an armful. I put an armful of Intense Black in this kid and B-Dan's back in the day, dude. That is both of his arms. He would bring this fucking Intense Black, and I was like, "That's what you have already, and you want more of it? Like, fuck it, I'll do it." But like, I didn't like the end healed result. I was like, "This is not as dark as Eternal."
I mean, I'm constantly trial and error with black, but so far, the most I've been comfortable with is Eternal Triple Black and Max Black. Ever since the whole issue with like Dynamic, I think last year where they had to do recall.
There was like 4 bottles out of the 4,000 that they had out at the time.
Yeah, that was so iffy.
Must have used tap water or something. Yeah, it was just bacteria in the ink and stuff. Yeah,
unfortunately.
Well, that was when the FDA slammed everyone at that time. Like I think almost every single ink brand had bottles recalled. That it was like they finally decided to fucking take a peek at tattoo inks. And they were like, "Yep, they all have microorganisms. Like this guy, that guy, this batch."
I wonder if those guys know that like our bodies are composed of primarily bacteria than any other like substance, but it's okay. There's like 3 bottles of fucking black that had like a speck of dirt in it. It's like, oh shit.
Luckily,
but then you'll go to the store and take a can of soda off the shelf and just drink it, not knowing what's on the lid of the can.
Yeah, not
savagery.
Oh
yeah.
my God, yeah.
It's so crazy.
Hey man, we're meant to evolve over those kind of shitty situations, Since we are on the subject of black,
don't get political.
Damn.
Closing.
Let's work on the opposite end of that spectrum. And what are your thoughts on the type of whites that you've used that have worked well for you? I've noticed, like for instance, I have tried like Dynamic White, which is actually really thick, if I recall correctly. Because I think
that was the heavy white. That bottle was like they did this niche thing. I don't know if you've ever held heavy white. Heavy white is a weight. That's a tattoo. Like they were selling a fucking weight, but it's in a tattooing bottle. Like it's absurd.
Yeah, definitely. So it's different. Obviously depending on the brand and whatever, they have different types of white. They have perfect white, regular white, off white. What's best has worked for you during your tattooing, and what do you feel like you've been using constantly?
Okay. So there is this super, like it's the lightest spectrum on that Pooch monochromatic set. It's just got the slightest hue of gray in it, but it really helps it stand out more in the skin. Through World Famous, I want to say that's the 4H. that's in the special. I can't remember the order offhand, but yeah, it's the lightest set in there. And then if I'm not using that one, White House by World Famous.
I'm gonna have to
I've
try
used
that.
Eternal. I've used
Yeah.
Eternal before, and that it's too damn watery for me. Like I remember when I bought 2 big bottles off of this tattooer, and I was like, oh man, thanks. Like he hooked me up. Like it was like buy one get one, but realistically, like come to find out, and he admitted to me down the road when I had a little bit more knowledge. He's like, yeah, I feel bad. Like he admitted to me, he goes, yeah, I feel bad that I even sold that. So it was just funny looking back on it now. But yeah, I was not happy using Eternal. Intense, forget about it. I might as well have just been using whiteout. I
The
wasn't
white
happy
you've
with
been
that.
putting in is nice too. Like you've been doing some Halo lines and like getting some sticker quality white. So like I'm gonna
Thank
try that world famous white for
Yeah,
sure.
white
Yeah.
out. There's a lot of them because then there's portrait white and all this stuff. Those are okay. Seriously though, White House. That one's the best one. Cause and then there was this other one, or is that Eternals White Knight?
That's
White Knight.
Eternal.
Yeah.
I've tried
Sorry.
that. I feel like that's a little lighter. Yeah. I mean, I've just used regular white. But I've tried White Knight, and it's definitely a little more watered down because I think I
Yeah.
feel like that's supposed to be more meant for mixing. Um, but I mean,
I would say the trick is to definitely find like go for more like a gray. Like if you're just trying to play with it, it's all contrast. If you get the absolute closest to the lightest spectrum of whatever
Yeah.
shit you're working with, it's gonna stand out way more and way more predominant than white would. I make the approach too. I never go in using white to stay. I use white as kind of like a buffer so that the ink doesn't spread. Like
Yeah,
so that
that's a
ages
great
better.
idea.
Like just
yeah,
keeping it tight because and I learned that. I learned that actually from Ed Gonzalez.
Really?
All his crazy stuff. Yeah, I mean there's all these simple things like you think about it, like you have all these tight lines around one another. Okay, well, what's the one way to prevent those lines from moving in on that open skin? You put a buffer.
Yep.
You just block it out.
yeah.
And
Sure.
if it may look a little awkward when you're first doing it, but when everything settles down, the redness disappears. Nothing's going to be expanding. All your lines are going to be consistent no matter how the skin ages, gets wrinkly and stuff like that. Really, it's going to hold it all together. You
Yeah.
know, so that's why I make the approach. And I even tell my clients that I don't want people being misled like, oh yeah, you're going to have this vibrant white tattoo. No, but what you're going to have is a tattoo that's going to definitely stand out against whatever their skin tone might be. And it's going to just hold up over time better.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a concept I was introduced to by Nico Hurtado when I got the Star Lord tattoo,
yeah.
and I was like, and he packed, he's going crazy with the background, and I'm like, so how are you doing these detailed tattoos and assuming they're gonna stay over time? He's like, well, first off, sunscreen, but then secondly, like, you gotta take if you don't take care of them, they're not gonna last well. But he's like, I put the background in that the tattoo is fully saturated everywhere for a reason because the ink's got nowhere to go. So the
Yeah.
only ink that has anywhere to go is the edges of the background. So that's the only place that you'll ever have migration under the skin, despite whatever you want to do to it with the sun.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
I was like, oh fuck! Like my mind just like you can anchor ink in 2 places. Like holy fuck! Like that makes so much sense.
It's just tough managing, and that's like even you guys were saying like last week like I agree. I've tried everything. I use everything and stuff as far as lidocaine and stuff like that, and yeah, like that's the only way to really help someone sit through a tattoo like that. That's the tough part of going through that process is just being able to sit through it because stuff like that takes a lot of time really getting it in there. Like you move quick, but it's just taking your time, saturating it in, and then placing the whites even after they're tattooed raw. Pretty much, it's just having the patience and the pain threshold to really sit there and get it home.
Yep.
Yeah. Um, definitely, definitely agree with you on that. I've used stuff like Hush.
Yeah.
It's definitely worked out in my favor. I like using the foamed Hush more. It seems like that has a better reaction because I dabble on the other stuff, just because that's what I have at the moment. Uh, I've seen like not creams, but like what you would substitute for like A&D or anything like that while you're
Yeah.
tattooing. I've seen numbing stuff for agents for that kind of stuff situations. I've seen stuff on like advertisements. It's all obviously temporary.
Yeah.
My wife, I've had her use like Dr. Numb, and that's
Yeah.
worked for her for like an hour. We have another tattoo artist we have a tattoo artist at shop who's had clients who've used other numbing agents. Um, Realistically, I've always thought of it as like, fuck it, it's all gonna suck anyway, so I might as well just get it done, you know.
Yeah,
And then when it's the last,
Yeah.
last 10, 15 minutes, you use the numbing stuff. We obviously
Exactly.
at the shop we have Bactine, and that helps to bring, that helps
Yep.
for most of our clients. Uh, do you use anything like that for your
Yeah.
clients during long sessions?
Yeah, I'll use Bactine quite a bit. And yeah, I've used stuff like the Vasecaine. You guys had brought that stuff up. The
Yeah,
blue
Bowman
bottle.
uses like witch hazel on the whole time. He doesn't even use green soap.
I
So
started. Thanks to yeah, I actually started doing that actually since listening to that episode. I'm liking the results so far. I'm only 2 tattoos deep in with that type, but yeah, and I mean
Sounds
honestly,
expensive to me.
It's almost impossible to get fucking witch hazel right now. So that's another thing that the apocalypse has hit on.
yeah, you just gotta find the certain place. Like I said, Walmart's doing pretty good on that. You can
Word.
find that and Viva. They got it in there, but they're
Word.
gonna limit you one per customer. So you gotta go out to your car, and then you gotta go back in, and you go through the other register, and then boom.
One time you go through with your mask on, and the next time you go through with your mask off.
Yeah, right. No, but yeah, no, I think, and yeah, that's the big thing. Is just making sure your client is able to hang in there as long as possible before using it. Otherwise, when it hits them, it's gonna hit them so hard, and that's it.
Sure.
And then that's when it gets like traumatizing to them. They're gonna be like, I don't want to go back and do it. I don't want to go back. Like, yeah.
That's why I'm careful about using the numbing stuff, because my mentor always instilled in me, like, when it comes to that numbing shit, like, you want to use it more towards the end, because if you use it halfway into it, it's gonna they're not gonna feel anything, and then once it wears off, they're gonna feel everything, and it's gonna suck.
Bro, Vasecaine made my leg go completely cold.
I
Like
know.
for the whole night. The whole night I was touching it. I was like, this is freezing. I was like, I'm in so much trouble. I'm gonna have to get it amputated. There's no more circulation in my leg. It's going to fall off. But I have a 10 a.m. appointment. I'm wrapping things up. So if you guys want to do,
I was about to say,
yeah, definitely. I know we're getting ready to hit 2 o'clock, so
Dude, we
I
sent
can, I can start things off.
go for it.
Thank you, Joe, for being on. It's always great talking to you, man. Don't be a stranger. I don't feel like we don't talk enough. Started off as like Instagram homies. And we met at Tommy's a few years ago. Always been a great dude. So thank you so much for jumping on our, unorthodox podcast where we just kind of let things fly. And really appreciate it. Really appreciate it, man. And congratulations again. That's so awesome. On everything, the brand, the shop, and the baby. It's just a trifecta there. So you got a lot going on, and I wish you the best. For me, still doing the same thing. Still repping my website, bsetzlertattoo.com. It's been going well. It's really easy to book your appointments with me. And of course, if you have any questions, you can DM me. My Instagram is bsetzler tattoo. And that's it. That's all I got. So
Word. I have a little bit of a longer one today. I won't take too long, but we do have the tattooed kappa. So for anyone that has Amazon Prime, link your Amazon Prime to your Twitch. If you're gonna hang out in the chat, get that free sub going that you get once a month, and get yourself tattooed kappa. And if I get enough subs, then we'll get some more cool tattoo emotes. The T-shirts is something I'm gonna have to work on, but I definitely will be doing that soon. Thanks for all the insights tonight, Joe. It's been great having you on the show. Yeah, again, like super happy for you with what you have going on. I didn't even know that you had all that stuff going on, but nice to have you on and then learn it. So I was hyped for the announcement at the beginning of the show and stuff. Sick. I hope you enjoy the time off that you take to be with the baby when you have it. Soak that in, cherish those moments. Don't forget to like break out the phone, take pictures and video and live photos like real quick. Don't do too much, but like get enough to document things, because those moments are precious, and the memory does not serve as well as when the phone can remind you. Oh, my little baby is awake right now, so that's it for me. Angelo.ttt on Instagram. Thanks for hanging out.
All right.
You guys can send it.
And there he goes. Oh, there he is, little man. All right. As my final note, honestly, you and me, I believe one of us started following the other a few years ago. And we've kind of just followed each other through Instagram.
Yeah, been a fan of for a while, Des. It's a pleasure to meet you.
It's definitely a pleasure to meet you for the first time. Keep up what you're doing. I definitely appreciate like the info you've given us. I hope for the best for you. Right now, like for anybody who's actually watching, Angry Pencil Studios on Instagram. My bio actually has a link to all my stuff, from YouTube to booking appointments to future T-shirts and stuff. Joe, it's always good to have a guest artist on. We always learn so much about everybody who actually comes on here, so thank you.
No problem.
Appreciate everything that you've done by far. Overall, like hopefully we'll be able to have you on again.
I would love
for future stuff, because it's always fun to actually have a client on here, or a client. Always have to actually have like guest artists on here. But overall, like, thank you. And my last note I would say is, it's gonna be a funny one. Get what you can from Chipotle. Get that bowl. Get that fucking fajita and make it fucking work. But no, but in all seriousness, best for you, man. Once you become a father, I promise you, you're gonna, the goals you have now, it's gonna extend over that at that point once you actually hold that kid for the first time. So, but on that note,
and extra rice is free.
Right.
So on that note, I close my final statement.
Word.
Thanks.
So did we get to everyone? Did Joe get to go when I was away?
No, I think he's
Joe.
Yeah.
I don't really have much. I don't know.
Shameless plug.
Yeah. If anybody if anybody's interested in seeing what's going on, you can follow me at Joe Murph CT, and then also the brand and the company. And I don't know what I'm doing with the page just yet, but we're doing something. Is Nerdy Visions IG. You can go on there every Wednesday. I'm doing What's Happening Wednesdays pretty much right now from like 8:30 to 9 o'clock. Just trying to help people keep up with like the events coming up, because we're going to try and do a few more pop-up shops. Probably in another month, we're going to have another clothing drop. It's probably, with the way it's going to lay out, probably be Halloween themed. So yeah, we got a lot of stuff just coming up. So yeah, if anyone's interested, please give it a follow. And for any t-shirts and merch, you can click the Nerdy Visions IG. In the bio is the full webpage for it through Downright Merch. Even if you don't purchase through us, check it out. There's a lot of great bands on there. That's the funny part. They actually have the rights. If you want Whitney Houston merchandise, yeah, they actually have the rights to her. So they have her stuff, CeeLo Green, but then there's also bands like Kubla Khan, Currents, and pretty much a lot of the roster that works with Crimson Management. So yeah, come through. Thank you all for tuning in and listening to me yammer and and thank you so much, guys, for having me on here.
Oh, absolutely.
Anytime. An honor.
You're
it's
welcome.
pretty cool.
Definitely anytime.
The top 10 on the show, like the top first 10 episodes.
Yeah, hell yeah.
I know.
Yeah, buddy.
Cool. Yeah, of all of us out there. So no, thank you so much. And yeah, I'd love to do it again. Maybe we can do it after, and you guys could see me all crazed after I'm trying to balance life with a child. So
yes, definitely.
How long do you have? What's your date?
January. It'll be January 30th. Is the due date. So we'll see. So yeah, and maybe all the pandemic will be over, and maybe we can all do this in one room.
Yeah. No, that's kind of like my my hopes that this kind of becomes maybe have like a nice area in the studio to actually have people in one-on-one and or just like as a group setting and have it set up like real nice where we can actually hang out in person. So yeah, thank you again, man, and best of luck with everything and congratulations.
Thank you.
Cool. All right, Joe. Send it.
All right, guys.
All right, guys.
Peace out.
Take it easy.